go. There we go.
OBS.
That's why we have a pre-show.
OBS.
That's why we have a pre-show. All right.
Get all the gremlins out of the system.
Yeah,
So that I am the last gremlin standing.
Wait, let me. Oh yeah. Oh, we should be good now. I think we got it.
You know what?
Working now. There we go.
You know what would be really good to get during the Prime Day sales for you?
I have a Stream Deck right there.
No, not even just that. We'll just get you a little portable monitor so that you can actually see what's happening. So that you can just duplicate it right here.
Yeah, we should put a third monitor. Oh,
just
you know
a
what?
little portable monitor right there for you.
I mean, I've got one. Yeah. I don't know if I have a cable.
You can get a little 10-inch one.
Or what about one of those half-height little ones? I think you wrote an article about it.
Yeah, I don't see the point of those.
No, because it could be in my desk right here.
For a streamer, actually, that would make sense because
I could have it right here.
You put it right under your monitor so that you can see what's happening without having to dig into a window on your screen.
I suppose.
It's a very specialized use. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Mike, why?
For most people, it's not necessary, but I do think there is a use for it.
Yeah, don't take that away from us. Jeez, Mike.
I don't do anything. I just show up.
Just kidding. Well, hello. Let's do that all over again. Welcome. We're here. We're live. This is the pre-show, arguably the best part of the show, where you get to see all the mess ups.
So weird. I'm at a different angle now. I keep looking over there for the camera.
Yeah. Well, no, the camera's right there with the little smiley face. Try not to look at yourself in the preview feed. Yeah, but it's a fresh day. We actually have stuff to talk about. Not just Prime Day. Kreider's excited. Look at him. He's so excited.
Oh, yes. I'm ecstatic. Just jubilant everywhere. It is nice that I've got you guys positioned on my monitor so it looks like I'm looking at you when I'm looking at you.
There you go. Perfect. Nice. I mean, and that's why we put your camera there, so it kind of looks like we're looking at you. We're professionals here, except for the whole unmute audio thing. That's okay. I still love seeing that the Intel Model M keyboard you have behind you. That's a Model M, right? Or no?
It is Model M, but it's not Intel. It's IBM.
Oh, IBM. Sorry. Yeah.
That particular model it was licensed out to somebody, some advanced something, and manufactured in the late 90s. But I've got it there with a bunch of adapters to go into my little Linux laptop.
Is it Advanced Micro Devices?
No, it's not. I would have said that if it was.
Anyway, hello, Elena.
Hello.
You just put up a video this morning. Well, we posted the video.
I didn't put it up. Our wonderful new video editor, Brennan did.
Brennan's killing it.
He made me look good.
You're helping people navigate Prime Day.
Yeah, basically, don't click on stuff that's being sent to you through email and text messages. Just go directly to Amazon. I
got to say, I felt called out just a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes I click on links being like, it's got to be safe, right?
I mean, if you're going with the YOLO method of life, who might stop you?
Imagine if you found a thumb drive that said the best Prime deals on it. They just had a little sticker.
Yeah, that does actually track with
you just plug that in.
How you live life.
Watch out for searches too, because I've been seeing more and more like fake squatting stores pop up on like Google and DuckDuckGo.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I say these days, you know what? You could spend time researching the link, or you could just go directly to the website and see if you can just find it yourself there. Nice. Probably faster.
Yeah. And Datus, I see you in the chat talking about Audible. The Full Nerd is not on Audible. The problem is we do not have. We need a Amazon Music for Podcasters account. I do not have one set up, so I need to set that up. It's a multiple step process, which is annoying because usually you can just go to a service and say, "Hey, here's my RSS. You should have that as part of the RSS feeds," and then But unfortunately, there's only so much time in the day. Also, Lindsay's here in the chat, says the kids are watching the Full Nerd, so no cussing.
Is it the little kitten ears? They're just so bright and eager, absorbing all the cuss words that we say.
They just have so much energy. It's just cute.
They're kittens.
It also surprises me.
Really?
Yeah, but like they just keep going. They just keep running around in the same circle, doing the same exact thing over and over again.
It's new to them. Yeah. It's novel. They're
I
like, oh my gosh,
can't tell if you're
legs.
talking about children or cats.
No, kittens. Yeah, we're fostering kittens.
Honestly, not too different in terms of energy level.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Young mammals just are bundles of pure energy.
Oh, Datus. So the full nerd is on Audible, but the Expedition Handheld isn't. That's weird. So I don't know why the Full Nerd is, because I never put it there.
Thank you to the listener who got us set up.
Well,
apparently.
no, because sometimes if it's set up right, they'll be trying to scrape RSS feeds that they think are relevant anyway.
Oh, interesting.
And
Okay.
they'll just import it into their platform. So
Interesting.
maybe Expedition Handheld is just too new. I mean, because we've been doing this for 10 years now here on the Full Nerd.
That's true. We have been.
Expedition Handheld's only like
What a
17.
weird idea.
I know, right? 10 years of our life.
Versus 17 weeks.
Yeah, we're posting. No. This is going to be episode 18 this week. So look at that. It's going to be old enough to drink and vote.
Drink? Where?
18 years? Oh no, that's 21. Yeah, you're right. Well, you know, it's somewhere it's
Well,
old enough to drink.
I think the military lets you do that.
Drink at 18?
I don't know if my dad was right about this, but apparently you could, or maybe that's what he was doing. I don't know.
He's like, honey, it's fine.
I think
the military
No,
says it's
my
okay.
dad would never use that word. Asian dad.
Like it was a few decades ago that they changed to a nationwide 21. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
No, I think so. My dad, I think, was talking basically because it's a more like Vietnam War era. So it was, I think the thinking was, well, if they might die for the country, you may as well let them enjoy their life while they still have it. Is how he described it to me, and I was like, well, that's dark, Dad. He goes, that's life. And that's basically my dad.
That's life. Okay. I don't know how to follow that up. Other than the kittens are watching. So
the kittens are very cute. If you haven't seen, they've made appearances on Dual Blue Diaries and Expedition Handheld.
Yeah.
So they're not Siamese, right? But they look really close in terms of coloring.
So we believe that they're snowshoe, which is the same as like Grumpy Cat. So mostly white, but then darker tails, darker ears. Some brown spots here and there. But they're
very cute.
Like too cute.
Too cute.
Yeah. So like literally too cute, but also a lot of work, and they poop a lot. You'd be surprised how much a kitten poops.
Yeah.
Like you'd be surprised. Anyway,
I'm not surprised, but
you'd also be surprised that we have a podcast today. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. I'm excited to actually talk about both of these. One of them is really exciting. One of them is a little bit more of a bummer. Also, I set up OBS to try the new slideshow feature.
Oh,
with slides.
Oh,
and
we're getting fancy.
I know I've brought this up before, but I back in the day, we'd come in here for a CPU review, and Gordon would dump on my lap like,
20?
Yeah, like 20
30?
slides, and be like, oh, and I'm like, hey, can we just pare this down to the most important stuff? And he's like, yeah, here's 18. And I'm like, dude, that's a lot of slides,
he would trim
man.
like 3.
Yeah, he's like everything else super important. I'm like, all right, and then I used to, this was back when I was an OBS noob, and I would put each slide in as a separate layer on OBS. But
you had to like manually
I had to put them in. Well, I had to put them in manually and then resize them manually, all that kind of stuff.
Oh boy.
But now there's a new slideshow feature. Well,
love it.
Not now. It's new to me. That hopefully I should be able to just hit a button and scroll through the slides. Unfortunately, they're not in the order that they should be somehow, but that's okay. We'll talk about them. We got slides.
We'll figure it out.
Kreider, sorry, you're not going to be able to see the slides unless you. Well, I put the slides in our Slack channel, so
that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. So
unfortunately, it's not in that order though, so you'll have to thumb around. Anyway, the more slides, the better. Yeah, bigger slide, better. Kitten poop, is that the agenda of the podcast? No. So we went to the vet, Lindsay and I, to just get their checkup, and I think they had gotten some of their shots, and the vet diagnosed them as too cute and literally called them calendar babies. Like these are the kind of kittens that would be on a calendar because they're very cute. And then somebody's asking about Prime deals. We will talk a little bit about Prime. You have your ear to the ground, or maybe at least some helpful advice, but Kreider, you're knee deep in it on the website side.
Yep, OLEDs. There's good deals on OLEDs. There was one for like 330 today. So.
There was.
My dream is finally coming true after like 21 years of waiting.
All right, cool. Well, I think I'm ready if everyone else is ready to do this.
I think we would just have to go into it ready.
So I'm going to go ahead and take that off, and then I'm going to go ahead and put that on just to prep. That's the button. All right, cool, sweet. Are we ready, everybody? Let's try this. Actually, Okay, I think the audio is going to come through. Remember last time it didn't come through? Yeah. Who knows? We'll try it. Here we go. In this episode of The Full Nerd, we talk about the G3 Extreme being on top and the Steam Machine being down below. Womp womp. Oh, and I missed the button. There it is. Hey, I can hear it. Woohoo! And welcome everyone to episode 404 of the Full Nerd Podcast. Episode Not Found is what we're going to title this. PC World's premier podcast featuring the most level-headed takes on the internet about PC news. I'm your fill-in host, Adam Patrick Murray, but I am not alone. On the line, we have one freshly shaven Mike Kreider. Hello, Mike.
Howdy, howdy. Always fun to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. It's been a minute since you've been on, so I'm excited to catch up. We are going to talk about a little bit of Prime Day, some of your coverage you've had over on the website. But first, I'm going to introduce, sitting next to me, my co-host, Elena Yee. Hello, Elena.
That's me.
Yeah. Also, I said this in the pre-show, but I'll say it here again.
Yeah.
We uploaded a new short form video.
That's true. We did.
Yeah.
Well, you did, or your video team did.
Yeah, the video team did.
Brennan did.
Brennan's on top of it. And he posted a video this morning helping people navigate the Prime Day waters. So
a little bit. It's
I think it turned out good.
Just a PSA, while you're out there shopping, make sure you don't accidentally fall for a scam link.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't apply to you, I think you should go and share it with your family members because really those are probably the most vulnerable.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I appreciate it. I think it was a fun video. Look more for Elena's face on the vertical video stuff. It's not just Kreider in the vertical feeds anymore.
He has to share with us.
Yeah. Everyone else.
Sorry,
how
dude.
horrible.
Oh, how horrible. You know what else is horrible? Just kidding. No, I'm not going to segue yet. I'm going to pause my own segue to say that we have a couple pieces of news that I want to make sure we talk about here on the top. Number one, if you are in the Bay Area, there is something called the Bay Area Electronics Flea Market. And during the summer months, people just show up to a place I think it's the Saratoga Springs Community College or something like that.
It's in the South Bay.
Yeah, it's in the South Bay. Once a month, people show up, set up tables or just stuff on the ground.
Really?
Literally people will just show up and just have random bibs and bots and whatever kind of
Just
stuff.
spread out in blankets?
Yeah, some of them are on tarps, some of them are just on the ground.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of ham radios. Anyway, it's always fun. Happens the second Saturday of every month here in the Bay Area, and we are going to have a table at this next one upcoming. So I believe
July 11th.
Yeah, July 11th. Thank you. I was going to have to double check. So if you want to come say hi, then come down. And then we are also going to be selling some of the hardware that we have around here, but it's for a good cause. We are, in Gordon's name, donating that money to charity. With Gordon's family, the help from Gordon's family. PC World is not touching any of this money. This is not an official PC World thing. It's just people from PC World will be there. And Will usually shows up to these things too. He's not going to be manning a booth or anything, but he's always there poking around. Friends of the show like Steve Lynn and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Are you going to be able to pop in for a little bit?
We'll see. I think I'm going to play Where's Will instead of Where's Waldo.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. So it's going to be a fun time. Glenn, our intern Glenn, are you gonna be there?
Will I be there?
Yeah, at the Bay Area Electronics Flea Market.
I will in fact be there.
He will in fact be there.
there.
Yeah, you can meet Glenn in person, get his autograph because he's just such a cool dude.
Maybe not that.
Maybe not that.
Oh well, maybe for
not
a
setting
price.
up for identity theft.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, no.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff. We need to downsize, like cases. We have a lot of PC cases because those are hard to ship. So if you need a PC case,
I mean, listen,
you should come by.
Yeah, like we might actually end up doing this 2 months in a row because I think we have so much stuff.
We do.
And yeah, like the most stuff we have are cases because it takes up so much space. And then motherboards. I've got a lot of motherboards that need offloading.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know prices, but I mean we're not trying to make money. This is all for charity.
Yeah.
So like these will be good prices.
I'm gonna say the prices probably will be ridiculous. But if you want to kick in more for charity, we would appreciate it.
Yeah. And anything helps go to charity. We don't have the actual charity right now set up, but believe me, I'm working to put things together and make sure.
Yeah, we have to get it set up. It's a little more complicated.
It's going to be a fun time, and it literally opens at 6 a.m.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wake up pretty early. But yeah, so it'll be fun. We will not have DRAM.
No RAM.
I can tell you.
No, that's not true. I might have
yes.
some DDR2 lying around.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay.
DDR or DDR2. Like we actually might have something that's actually qualifies for flea market status. I think it was you said that Will was worried that some of our stuff is too new for the flea market.
No, yeah, you show up and sometimes the new stuff people are like, this is way too expensive. So yeah, but no, I mean we do have some new stuff. We do have some old stuff. I am working with intern Glenn and the family to maybe offload a bunch of stuff that Gordon has in storage that is sitting around taking up space. So there's going to be an eclectic mix of hardware there.
Very
for
eclectic.
Sure. But NVMe drives, no, I don't. If there's things we don't have a ton of extras of, it's NVMe drives and DRAM. So sorry.
Yeah. Might have some floppy drives mixed in there.
Who knows?
There might be some stuff that we put from our own personal collection in there. Just because it's time to let it go.
Because it's time.
I think I have some cards that are circa 2011, like graphics cards that a friend mined from their systems, plural. And they just put it in a box and gave it to me. And then that box has been sitting in my home.
Actually, now is a good time to maybe go through the box of history of GPUs that we have. Because, we've got a lot of old stuff in there that might be good. But anyway, we have a show to get to.
We do.
The first topic is actually one that I am very excited to talk about. It is the benchmarks of the Arc G3 Extreme, the Intel Arc G3 Extreme.
I feel like we should have some sound effects like extreme. In the background.
Yeah, extreme.
Yeah.
So this was part of the review device that I have for the MSI Claw 8EX AI Plus. Have it right here on the table for audio listeners.
It's fancy.
Yeah,
it's purple.
It's a big handheld. I'm going to save the actual handheld talk for Expedition Handheld with Russ from Retro Game Core, the podcast where we talk about handheld stuff. So I'm not really going to talk about the handheld at this point. You'll have to tune in for this week's episode over on Expedition Handheld. But I am going to talk about the performance of the chip because I think this marks a important part in computing, and I always like to call it out. So just as a quick recap, the Intel Arc G3 Extreme is a specific gaming variant of the Panther Lake chip that is starting to get widely circulated in laptops, mini PCs, kind of small computing form factors. Kreider, have you had a chance to touch any Panther Lake based devices yet?
I have not. No.
All right, Elena?
No. I don't really do much with laptops now.
Okay. Yeah. So I've tested some laptops. I've tested a mini PC that has different configurations, and guess what? 18A rocks. The performance is really good, especially at the power envelope. And when you get the bigger GPU, the X variant on the Panther Lake side, the X variant denotes that it has 12 Xe3 cores. And now...
and how many is that compared to the normal?
So Lunar Lake had 8.
Okay.
Which was good, and it reached parity with AMD's best offerings for handhelds. But by adding 4 cores, getting a little bit more efficiency out of them, and really juicing the power, like the way I'm describing this is that this is like a 1080p. This is a solid 1080p experience, and that you can have on handhelds. Maybe other devices in the future they wouldn't commit to it, but right now they target it as a handheld chip. But it's integrated graphics, and that's the thing, is that I like how much performance we're getting out of integrated graphics just boggles my mind at this point. Like yes, we've talked about it for years now. I feel like that the low end of this discrete GPU market has been going away for a lot of reasons, pricing, availability, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like the silver lining of that is that integrated graphics has just risen up to a spot where it's just really good. Right?
Yes. I feel like that's a whole different kind of conversation though, because my first instinct. Oh yeah, go ahead, Carter.
I mean, we're talking about integrated graphics on an $1,800 device.
Yeah,
so
that's
we're
exactly
still
what I was
feeling,
thinking.
yeah, we're feeling the absence of those low-end cars still very much.
Well, I mean, that everything is going up in price. So, the pricing is one thing. I mean, because it's AMD is, on that side, the pricing is going up as well. The Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme, which spoilers lacks in overall performance compared to this G3 Extreme, is actually $2,000. So,
oh no.
we can have that pricing talk if we want to at the top, but I still think
we should at some point.
we will. But I still think it's worth celebrating just how far integrated graphics have come. Gordon always talked about how Intel HD was just the laughing stock, right? Nobody talked back in the day about gaming on Intel HD graphics.
For sure. I mean, I remember doing an early benchmark just for funsies on integrated graphics like 12 years ago. Not a fun experience.
Yeah.
So it is definitely progress.
I played Overwatch on a Surface Pro 3 on a vacation one time just to get my dailies done. It was not a great experience.
Well, and that's why it's crazy now, because the performance, regardless of the price, I do think in a different world, the pricing obviously would have been different, but the performance they're able to get out of integrated graphics is just it's just crazy. It literally is crazy for a TDP up to 45 watts under boost is
So here's my question, though. Are we only seeing these right now in handhelds? Will we end up seeing these in mini PCs even, or more standard laptops?
Well, the thing is, I mean, this pretty much is a Panther Lake part that has some cut downs for handhelds specifically. But I mean, we're seeing the same performance already in laptops, Panther Lake laptops and mini PCs. Will they use the G3 nomenclature and put them in other devices? I think they will. I'm sure there will be some Shenzhen-based companies that put it in different form factors. But the G3 Extreme has some cutbacks that make sense for handhelds that might not make sense for a laptop. So it cuts down on the P cores from 4 to 2 compared to the normal Panther Lake part, which I think equivalent you can think of is the I can't think of the part number right now. The X7. Whatever that part
makes sense, because you're trying to reduce power consumption, probably.
And also the problem with handhelds is that usually too much power is going into the CPU. You're so GPU limited that you want as much power to be put into the GPU as possible. So cutting back on those cores, those performance cores, really makes sense. And the tuning that they're doing for the actual power management prioritizes the E cores over the P cores. So it'll try to run on the E cores first, and then if it needs more power, it'll move over to the P cores kind of thing, which isn't necessarily applicable to a laptop that might have better cooling solution or something like that. But, and a laptop is usually more of a mixed use scenario. So, maybe you want the P cores for your Excel spreadsheets, but for a handheld, it's mainly meant to be a gaming device.
My question was more of, I'm not as familiar with the laptop scene right now, so I was wondering if they even have, let's say, a more standard Panther Lake chip configuration that you just described, but they add the additional 4 GPU cores.
Yes.
They already have that out.
So the Core Ultra X7 and X9, the X denotes the full fat 12 GPU cores. So that exists already on the Panther Lake side. And then the G3 Extreme kind of takes that configuration and cuts out the 2 P cores, does some of the extra tuning for prioritizing the GPU over the CPU, but then also takes out things like it only has 2 Thunderbolt lanes instead of 4, because you don't really need 4 on a handheld. And then display out is also down to 2 compared to 4. So like I said, I think we'll see the G3 Extreme specifically in other devices other than handhelds, just for funsies. But I mean, we're still seeing amazing performance out of the whole Panther Lake family at this point, and it's just it continues to excite me and amaze me.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No?
Well, we've had the Ryzen Z series of chips specifically for handhelds for almost 3 years now, and I don't think I've ever seen one in anything except a handheld from a lot of different vendors, but they've only been in the handhelds. So I'm wondering if AMD has some kind of restriction on it. Yeah, you can have these parts, but only for this specific form factor. And I wonder if Intel would do the same thing.
No, from what I understand, I haven't got any of them in specifically, but I believe 1X Player has them in their tablet kind of thing. So there are other devices other than handles. I mean, that's what it's aimed for. But for the most part, the other thing too is that I thought the Z series would be like what all of the Shenzhen-based companies end up going for, but even then they don't. And the way that I would say this is actually different, the G series versus the Z series on the AMD side, is that the Z series puts like it's almost changing the marketing a little bit to be like, oh yeah, this is the handheld version, and maybe there are some changes here and there, but they're not the same kind of changes that Intel has done here. Like they've really made some smart changes of reducing the P-core count, the PCI lane or the display lanes and all that kind of stuff, where the AMD stuff isn't like they're not making handheld specific choices that way. Most of the time, like the Z2 Extreme has way too many CPU cores, and the load balancing usually prioritizes those over the GPU, which is not good. We've been telling AMD forever, like, hey, come on, these Z series, like, you don't need that many cores. So like on the AMD side, I think it's just shades of gray in terms of marketing versus the full fat, strict point stuff. But the G3 Extreme does feel tailor-made for handhelds and other low-power devices. So I don't think there's any sort of agreement that it can't be in handhelds or in anything other than handhelds. But I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe, I guess. I've never heard it either way.
But the thing is that if it's cut down, I guess I'm with Kreider on this one. I'm not really seeing the application of it for something like a mini PC or a laptop where you're not quite so constrained. I'm looking at some of the models that are already available with the X7 part. So, I mean, if that already exists, I think I'm with Kreider on that, like where I don't see where the G3 would fit into that particular form factor.
I think you could make a case for it if it's like those little mini PCs that were shaped like the NES and the PlayStation that we saw at CES. Like, this is a device for gaming, even if it's not what you conventionally call a gaming PC. Then you could say, hey, yeah, this processor makes sense if that's what you're using this device for.
Sure. But I mean, in some ways, that kind of segues into our next topic, which is, would you pay that price for a form factor like that, right? When you could do something else DIY.
I mean, hold on. Let's wait for the pricing thing real quick because that's a whole separate discussion. We can talk about pricing for days about everything. But I think the other thing, like the MSI Kubinook 3MG AI, whatever the number is on that one, the newest one, that actually has the non-X variant. So that has all the CPU cores, but it only has 4 Xe3 cores in it.
Instead of 12.
Instead of 12.
Okay.
So it's even less than Panther. Like, yeah, so in that one they aim as like a productivity device. They're like, hey, we want as much CPU performance as possible, where the GPU, this really isn't a gaming part. So like, imagine they would take that MSI Kubinook and say, actually, we're going to make a gaming variant where we flip it on the other side. We put the biggest GPU in there and we cut down on some of the CPU, and boom, it's more like you use the same constraint, of thermal.
So, I think that's a great segue actually into talking more about performance specifically, because my question would be, hearing that, I would want to know, okay, so what are you getting on the gaming side? What are you getting at 1080p?
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to cut over here in real time.
Oh, so fancy.
Yeah, to this new feature, not new to me feature in OBS. I'm going to go through some slides. So for audio listeners, I'll try to keep it, help people get the numbers on top. But yeah, so when I did the testing here, because this is primarily for handhelds, I used the Steam Deck OLED as the anchor. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, what's the best you can get out of the Steam Deck OLED? And then I compared it to what's the best you can get out of all these other devices. So the MSI Claw 8EX, which has this new G3 Extreme, the 8, which has the Lunar Lake based from last year, and then even the 7, which has the Meteor Lake chip from 2 years ago, which was widely panned. And then on the AMD side, I have the Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme. That is the top of the line of you can get for AMD right now. which is essentially same as like Strix Point performance, and then the ROG Ally with the Z1 Extreme, so one generation older, and then also the ROG Xbox Ally non-X, so that is the Z2A, which is essentially equivalent to a Steam Deck, but this one's running Windows versus obviously the Steam Deck running Steam OS kind of thing. So first up, I have Shadow of the Tomb Raider that I'm showing off here. And I mean, if you compare the best of the best, so the G3 Extreme versus the Z2 Extreme and that Legion Go 2, I mean, we're talking about a hefty uplift. And once again, this is the best of the best. This is max wattage. This is connected to mains. Like I just wanted to see what the upper threshold is, kind of thing to see that. And I mean, it's obviously bigger bar better compared to Steam Deck OLED, but yeah, against AMD's best, like, whoo boy, that is a nice increase. Let's move over to another one. This is a synthetic. This is not the order that I would have them in, but
so actually, do you want to actually list the numbers for audio listeners because they can't see any of this?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
so Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the testing looks like for all the games are done at 1280 by 720, so 720p testing. Just
to normalize the.
No anti-aliasing, no upscale, no ray tracing, maximum wattage. So the MSI Claw 8 EX, which is the model we have in front of us right here on the table, 122 frames per second average. The Legion Go 2 Z2 Extreme, 80 frames per second average.
And the Steam Deck OLED, 46 average.
Yep.
So, I mean, the Z2 Extreme, I mean, we're talking about almost 2 times better performance, and then you go through the G3 Extreme. I'm not good at percentages, but I mean, we're talking about 42 more frames on top of that. So like 2 times the performance of the Z2 Extreme, if that's right. Is that 2 times? Would you
50% increase?
50% increase.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, we can go over all these charts. Like, so I have some synthetic stuff in here too. 3D Mark Solar Bay Extreme, which is a ray tracing based benchmark, which I was surprised like pulls even more ahead with Panther Lake. But I mean, like, we don't have to dwell on any of these specifically.
I mean, I think it's good to kind of go over a little bit of it, right? So it looks like your Steam Deck just couldn't run this benchmark. Yeah,
well, because Linux doesn't run 3D Mark, so unfortunately, I just don't have an equivalent.
So it's a head-to-head between the MSI and the Legion Go, or Intel versus AMD.
Yeah,
and
but
so
I will say the Z2A, once again, in that ROG Xbox Ally is roughly Steam Deck equivalent.
Okay,
so
then the numbers for the audio listeners. So Z2A came in at 1052, and this is just a score. It's not tied to anything else.
Bigger number, better.
Yeah, pretty much. The Z2 Extreme basically doubles that, 2177, and then the G3 Extreme in the MSI Claw doubles that again at 4011.
Yeah. So like, and I mean, like in almost every chart, it kind of plays out like that.
Realistically,
to varying degrees.
Question for you:
yes.
Would you do ray tracing on a screen that small?
Well, the thing is that yes, you can.
You can, but would you?
Yes. Why not?
It's such a small screen.
I mean, that doesn't mean it's not going to look better. Yeah, I mean,
here's the thing: at 720 versus ray tracing, like, would you go up to 1080, or would you stay at 720 and do ray tracing?
Well, I mean, so I normalize the testing at 720 because what we're testing here is the generational differences, like the actual testing that I did. I mean, one of the ray trace titles I did, which isn't a benchmark, but I was just playing it, was Pragmata, which does have some light ray tracing features in there. I don't remember the exact details of it. But yeah, I was able to turn them on and like enjoy the whatever reflections and things like that. And I was surprised. I mean, it's integrated graphics running ray tracing and like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Do that.
So here's the thing. I'm not saying that it's not a cool thing. I'm just saying realistically, the quality of the experience. I mean, when you were playing that game, when you were testing ray tracing, did you have it at 1080p?
Yes.
And
1200p.
Okay. And then what level of graphics preset?
I had pretty much everything maxed out. I didn't have path tracing on, just normal ray tracing. And then the upscaling, I think I was using XeSS Quality which
Okay.
I don't remember the resolution, because
Okay.
XeSS is something different. But also, you got to remember, I'm not somebody, I care about visual fidelity more than frames per second. So I was able to get around 50 FPS and then use frame gen to smooth it out to, over 60. So that was a good experience for me.
Okay.
I didn't try it without ray tracing, so you probably could have easily gotten over 60 without the ray tracing features, but that's the nice thing, is that you didn't have to trade off.
That's fair.
Kind of thing, yeah.
I want to dig into details a little bit more because, I think it helps people understand better what you liked about the experience, if while also being able to extrapolate for themselves if they would want that same experience.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too, is that all the other reviews are up. The one I'm always going to recommend is going to be Russ from Retro Game Core. He has he always does exhaustive reviews on devices, and I watched his video this morning. I was like, yeah, I totally line up with all the stuff he said. So, he goes deeper into the experiential stuff, and like I said, we'll talk about it more on the actual handheld itself, on Xvision handheld. But he also did testing where, and a lot of people use handhelds like this, where they like to have a performance profile that's somewhere in the middle because they care about battery life. I don't give two craps about battery life. The way I play, I've 80% of my gaming is done on the couch right next to a plug. So oh, hey, you know what? I'm low on battery. Just plug it in, whatever. It doesn't matter. The other 10% is plugging it into an eGPU. So then I don't care about battery life there. The only time I care about battery life is when I'm on planes, and I do that a handful of times a year. So if you care about battery life, I'm not the person you should be following anyway. I like seeing what the max performance you can get out of this stuff, because it just is not an equation for me.
Okay, fair.
So would you use RT if you're trying to normalize at 18 watts? Probably not, no. But, if you're plugged into the mains and just letting it rip.
Which is good to have for context.
Yeah.
Speaking of context, let's can we talk a little bit about the benchmarks for the more power demanding, the performance, higher performance
Which one do you want to talk about?
Let's go to everybody's new. I feel like this is the new Will It Run Crisis, Cyberpunk.
Oh, Cyberpunk 2077. Well, once again, I normalized around the Steam Deck. So this is the Steam Deck preset, but the Steam Deck preset does default to upscaling, but I turned off all the upscaling. There's no ray tracing, there's no frame gen, anything like that. So this is the pure Steam Deck preset at 720p, which, it's perfectly playable on a Steam Deck, if you will. Turns
That's
in
very tactful.
Yeah. What is it? 36 average. Most people.
36 average, 29 min, which honestly is not horrid.
Which most people
that's
actually
better than you got on the PS4 when Cyberpunk came out.
Right. And actually, props to the team over there. They did actually add a Steam Deck preset because they did work on it, and surprisingly, they did a lot of work on the Switch 2 version as well. But most of the time, people would take that performance and then cap it at 30 for the handheld gamers. So whether that you're up to that or not, that's up to you. I wouldn't want to play it that way, but luckily we have other
playable.
options. It's playable.
Let's put it that way. I'm not sure if it would be enjoyable for some people depending on their preferences, but it is playable.
Yeah. So the Z2 Extreme, the best of the best on the AMD side, not counting Strix Halo, we can talk about that in a second, is, what was that, 86 average?
So
66 average
66
and
average
52 min.
and 52 minimum.
But then the Z3 Extreme jumps all the way up to 100 average and 83 minimum.
You mean G3 Extreme?
Okay, yeah, sorry. What did I say?
You said Z. There's a lot of letters. What I was going to comment earlier in the show was, dang, Intel really is just spreading out with all of its naming.
It's not even just Intel.
You need a decoder.
Yeah.
Decoder ring.
There's 5 different versions of the Z series on the AMD side as well.
It's not great on either side. It's very much engineers naming things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure doesn't help that the ARC series now refers to discrete GPUs, integrated GPUs, and also CPUs with big integrated GPUs in them. It's a mess.
In some ways, they are keeping us employed because we get to keep track of it for people.
Right.
But boy, it's confusing.
There's a lot to keep track of. I did not try to run Cyberpunk this benchmark specifically with any sort of ray tracing or anything like that, because once again, I normalized around the Steam Deck. So the Steam Deck, if you turn on ray tracing, it's just it's nowhere near playable. So I tried to have an experience that is
realistic.
At least playable. Realistic. Yes. Thank you.
So yeah.
Yeah. But if we can get to a couple more slides real quick.
Yeah.
So the other one, I don't have it in here, but
look at maybe Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. I mean that one doesn't have ray tracing, but
it's interesting to see the scores here because they are different.
This is the one area where the G3 Extreme did get beaten by AMD, and that's because Horizon Zero Dawn is more CPU bottlenecked than GPU. So in this case, this is the one benchmark I ran where the Z2 Extreme turned in a better score average.
So again, for context for audio listeners, Steam Deck OLED 34 average, however 8 minimum.
Yeah, the minimum on all these are pretty rough. So
the Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme, the AMD part, is 57 frames per second average, 26 minimum. And then, honestly, though, that's not as bad to me as the actual G3 Extreme's performance, which was 53 frames per second average. Not bad, but 15 frames per second minimum. That is going to feel bad, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all they report is minimum times on here, and like all of them, like
it's not great.
the minimums suck on all of them.
Not great.
But yeah, so in scenarios where CPU really does matter, that's the one point where the Z2 Extreme shines. The argument I would have is that most of the time it's not the case. Most of the time you want as much power into the GPU as possible. So like
Zero Dawn specifically is a bit of an aberrant case here because the original game, of course, debuted on the PS4. It was remastered for the PS5. Both of those, I believe, are AMD-based systems that have an APU setup. So it makes sense that game does well leaning heavily on a CPU.
Yeah. And I mean, the Z2 Extreme just has more CPU grunt for sure.
Yeah. In general, though, I would say that that's unfortunately to me a weak spot of this chip. Because you're right, there are plenty of games that won't be CPU bound, but if you want to play that one game that is, it's not going to be as great of an experience.
Well, I mean, the other weak spot is Intel's drivers. So while they've done leaps and bounds to get better at day one drivers and patches and stuff like that, I mean, Intel still is not the go-to platform for a lot of these developers to go against because all the consoles are AMD based. Well, not the Switch, but whatever, it's a separate thing. And so a lot of this stuff is made with AMD hardware in mind, and so Intel is usually having to play catch up a little bit. Once again, they've done a lot to get better, but if you're CPU bound, if you know your game is CPU bound, then maybe you don't want to look at Intel. But also, if you're somebody who wants to play the brand new latest and greatest game right at launch, then like Intel has a
slight disadvantage,
a spottier track record than AMD.
A little bit maybe that's disadvantage in that regard.
A better way to say it. So I would say that's something that doesn't really show up in benchmarks because I'm not benchmarking the latest and greatest games,
right.
But yeah.
So question for you. So here's the thing, right? I'm looking at some of the other benchmark results. I don't know if you want to pop them up on the screen real quick while I talk about them.
What do you want to show?
I'm just gonna kind of go through
Please.
Blitz style here. So Forza Horizon 5, we see the Steam Deck at 61 frames per second average, the Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme at 111, and then the MSI Claw, the G3 Extreme part at 148. Skipping over to Dying Light 2, Steam Deck is at 44 average, the Z2 Extreme at 66 average, and then now this new G3 Extreme at 77 average. Borderlands 3, Steam Deck at 36 average, Z2 Extreme, the AMD part, 66 average, G3 Extreme new part, 100 average. What is the refresh rate on the displays of these handhelds?
So the Steam Deck is at 90 FPS. The rest of them are at 120.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it does actually matter somewhat the higher that you go then.
And it depends your preference, right? Like for the most part, I'm usually not aiming for 120. I'm usually aiming for 60.
Okay.
And then if it has frame gen, then maybe I'll smooth it up a little bit because it has a higher refresh rate panel. And especially if somebody does care about battery life, I think they're also not trying to push it all the way to the 120. But yeah, like all of this stuff is once again within the realm of 30 to 120.
Okay.
So, and without upscaling. That's the other thing too, is that with the extra performance, I found myself when I was just playing games and not running benchmarks, I was able to find settings that I appreciated and either not have any upscaling or just a touch. And like that is something that, I mean, you can't really get away with on the Steam Deck. Usually, for the most part, I'm using some sort of upscaling feature, and even the Z2 Extreme, like I'll usually default to having at least some sort of upscaling. On this one, I could have experiences where I was like, oh, you know what, I didn't have to rely on upscaling at all. So
okay, yeah. The reason I ask is because just looking at the benchmarks, kind of in aggregate here, there are definitely games where the G3 Extreme, Intel's new part, just outstrips the others by a very large margin. And then there's some where it does beat the AMD part, but not by quite so large, a difference. And so for me, my thought is, well, if you're playing on a handheld, if the screen is smaller, and if the refresh rate isn't that high, because I don't actually know that much about a lot of the modern handhelds, then to me, sometimes it's not so much, as you said, for your own preferences, it's not so much about the actual average frame rates. It is more about the overall quality. So for example, I'm more likely out of this suite of benchmarks, and just to address some comments I think I just saw in the chat, these are older games. We do this because it makes it easier for us to benchmark across different generations. These are games that have a standard benchmark in them so that they're repeatable and reliable when you do your runs.
And they're older, so they don't get updated as often.
Yeah.
And also, here's the other thing. I'm sorry, I feel like we have to talk about this every single time, but I'm not testing to see if the game runs on here and how I'm not testing the game. So a lot of people may be like, oh, we'll try the new 007, try the new whatever game. Well, then at that point, you're testing for the game to see how it runs on here. I'm not testing the game. Like, I'm picking games to test the theoretical performance between them. So
Yes.
like the game at the end of the day doesn't really matter. Like we try to mix it up between different engines and different, settings and things like that.
If they are more GPU bound versus CPU bound. So here's my thing. And I actually came around on this thinking, especially after Will did all that testing on microstutter, that I think that for today's environment, it is very helpful to have average benchmarks to talk about and compare, because you need some kind of number, some kind of metric, something tangible to put up for discussion. But I think at the end of the day, especially because knowing what the kind of games I play, that Horizon Zero Dawn in particular is a title that I've played. And I would probably choose something more like the AMD part, because that your minimum frame rates are still closer to your average, which means that the actual experience of playing the game will probably be smoother, right? And so like these are the kind of things that don't always show up when you just look at, some sites will do a 10-game benchmark average. And those are very helpful in context, right? If you're just looking for a quick snapshot, those are very helpful to give you a general sense of difference in compute power, for lack of a better term, right? For me, not being a handheld person, wanting a overall smoother experience, willing to sacrifice some average frame rate for that, I don't know if I would necessarily pick something like this G3 Extreme, especially as you said, there also could be driver little bugaboos in that, and you won't always know, especially if you're playing newer titles.
Well, and the other point too here is that I did not actually get any Linux testing on this. I was not able to successfully install any of the Linux variants on it.
Do you know what podcast you're on, sir? I mean, not this one, but a different one.
Here's the thing is that if you care about minimum frame times, actually Linux has an advantage over that too.
Really?
Yeah, because the Proton compatibility layer has done some great wonders to smooth those out as well. That's a whole separate topic, but yeah, I mean, I would love.
Is this the thing that finally gets me into Linux gaming?
Yeah, right. I will say that there are certain games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Returnal is also another one like that, where the in-game benchmark is not necessarily indicative of the actual gameplay, and those minimums are like very brutal across everybody. So yeah, but once again, I'm not testing for the gameplay. I'm just testing for relative performance. So
True.
yeah.
And here's the thing. We don't have the time. We wish we did, but we don't have the time to test every single game out there to get a real idea of how it truly shakes out over the entire landscape. So sometimes you can't. And so sometimes you will just have to take it as, okay, so maybe Horizon Zero Dawn is not specifically going to have this experience in game, but it's not impossible that you could see something like this in another game.
Yeah. I mean, There, other than Horizon Zero Dawn, you can see that there's a trend, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, we're seeing a trend here. Go watch other people's reviews, see the trends that are playing out there. It mostly lines up from what I've seen in my testing, and it also lines up mostly with what Intel brought out in their own slide deck. And what they were claiming, which I didn't test here, but others have, is that at 18 watts. So if you were to take the G3 Extreme and put it at 18 watts, then it would match most of the numbers for the Z2 Extreme. So you're using less wattage overall, but still hitting that same performance level. But once again, I'm somebody who likes to.
I mean, that is impressive
for
sure. So I mean, so again, this is a little bit of a difference between talking about it in theory versus in practical application. So in theory, absolutely on board with you. This is a great achievement that we can see this happening for integrated graphics, that you truly can game on them without the asterisk, really. But in practical application, I'm not sure if I'm sold on it yet, partially because of the performance, but also partially because I live in the real world and I make a very finite salary. And so the pricing is also a concern as well.
I mean, yeah. So TLDR, this is debuting at $1,800. There was a pre-order thing at $1,700. We've yet to see the pricing on the other G3 Extreme handhelds. So that's the One X Player 3 and the Acer Predator Atlas 8. But I'm going to assume they're in that same ballpark in terms of pricing. The One X Player probably will be the most expensive of them just because of the design. It's detachable controllers and a little bit more.
I wish more handhelds did that. It would actually make it more appealing to me to have one.
Yeah.
Because I would love the idea of having actually a truly mini like Windows tablet with me as a backup if I'm traveling. I always get so paranoid about not having a desktop device with me when I'm traveling, just in case something happens and I need to log into a site that only really works properly on desktop. There are so many times that I've tried to log into a site on my phone and they either want to push you to the app, which is also just a terrible UI, or certain features are missing or difficult to find on mobile. And as soon as you hit the desktop version of the site, like a true desktop version of the site, not when you try to do as show as desktop, everything works. And it bugs me. So I get really paranoid about being on vacation or traveling without even a cheap Chromebook tablet with me, because at least I still have that experience. And so if I had something like this with detachable controllers, that means that I kind of have a little bit of an entertainment device and also my safety blanket or my...
Yeah. Okay, actually, so I take it back. I totally missed it. So the One X Player 3 right now is up on Indiegogo. There is some early pricing, and at least according to the chat, it looks like it starts at $1,400. So a little bit better. Okay. Well, so here's the thing. I'm not avoiding talking about pricing. The thing is that whether it's this handheld, whether it's Panther Lake based laptops, which are whether it's desktop stuff, is any of this a good deal right now? The pricing is crappy on all of them. Well, no, I'm just saying
very weird word to use.
Well, no. Okay, yeah, maybe not the word deal, but you can't just point to this and say, oh wow, the pricing's bad on this. The pricing sucks on the Steam Deck too. That thing, rose by 40%. We're going to talk about the Steam Machine in a minute too, and that pricing is $1,000. So I wouldn't call this one out specifically for being more egregious pricing wise compared to anything else.
That's not what I'm saying when I talk about pricing, though. What I'm saying is that in general, with and this is what I've actually talked about this previously when I was still writing the newsletter, and I think in general on the show, which is that it seems to be very unfortunate right now that we are kind of returning to what the 1990s felt like when it came to tech, right? Where you had these innovations that came out. They were really cool. They were very exciting, but they were largely out of the hands of most consumers. Like you truly had to be devoted to it and throw your money at it, because if you were into computers, that cost $2,500, and that was in 1990s money. So what's that closer to? What 4,000 now? So you really had to be invested in the scene and in it as a hobby. And it feels like with things like this handheld, it's kind of like that, right? Because as somebody in chat pointed out, I think it was a friend of the show, Davina Duckworth, said that, hey, you could actually build a pretty decent desktop PC for $1,800.
Oh, yeah.
So, and again, not the same use case, obviously, but if you are somebody with just $1,800 and you need to spend it, or you want to spend it on some kind of computing device, and you want to play games, but you also want your money to go, decent ways, the desktop or even a laptop is probably going to be a better use of your money than a handheld, because a handheld is just so much more specific.
Of course.
And so for me, the pricing question is not, is this a good deal? Is this a waste of your money? It's more of, how realistic is it for someone to pick this up the way they would have even a year or two ago as a side device? You know what I mean? This is the kind of money now that you're investing primary device money into it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that was always the glory of the Steam Deck, is that at equivalent console prices, I think the OLED starts at $550, but if the LCD one was down in the 400s, like that becomes okay, cool. Maybe I want that as a side device. But yeah, that equation flips now with the prices increased, and I feel like it's funny on YouTube. A lot of the people who cover handhelds, the conversation, including ours as well, was always, if you want a handheld, your first stop is the Steam Deck. Should you get a Steam? If you want a handheld, get a Steam Deck. All right, cool. And then if you're like, oh, well, you know what? I might have a little bit extra money, or I want a different form factor with detachable controllers, or I want a bigger screen or something like that, then you would start looking somewhere else. Yeah.
To a different style of handheld.
And then all of a sudden the Steam Deck increased the price the way it did, and everyone was like, well, not even just raise the floor, but everyone was like, well, I can no longer recommend this. So like I think anything above 600 starts becoming a question of like, okay, this isn't just the side device, this is like a main device. So like, I mean, yeah, and I mean, there are people who are willing to pay this kind of money. Like I'm looking at the Indiegogo for 1X Player 3, and you can see there's 292 people have plopped down $1,400 or starting at $1,400 to get this device. So there are people who are willing to pay it, and that's cool.
And
yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, MSI, this thing is going to sell. Is it going to sell in more normie quantities? No. And the Steam Deck was the only one that was doing that anyway. So yeah.
Question for Kreider, because you also brought up the topic of pricing earlier. Like, what's your take on it?
I think I'm right there with you folks. At $1,800, I can't imagine anyone who needs, like, say, the thing that we usually go to is like a fresh college student who needs a new computer. The obvious answer is, hey, get a laptop. You're going to have to move around a lot. You might be space limited in your dorm. If you've got a little extra money and you're interested in gaming, get a gaming laptop. And even with the way the market is right now, I think you can get a not terrible gaming laptop for $1,800. I can't imagine anyone choosing a handheld over a gaming laptop unless they also have like a crazy elaborate dock setup. And even then, you're going to be going to classes without something that has easy access to a keyboard. It's just not a good decision. And I think for the vast majority of people would make that same call unless they just have a huge amount of fun money that they can throw at this. And
same thing would be said about the Steam Deck though too, right?
That's a really good point, actually. I hadn't even thought about it from that angle, which is, like before you could just tell somebody, hey, get a decent $600 laptop.
No.
In the old days. In the old days, before the hold on.
I hate this argument.
days,
This is
16
such
months
a
ago.
stupid argument.
Hold on. I don't think you even know what I'm about to say.
All right. No,
which
please.
is just that in the old days, it was old days being like less than a year ago.
Back in my day.
That you get like a decent $600 laptop for like your classwork, whatever, and then you would have something like a Steam Deck as your gaming device because you could dock it if you wanted a big screen experience. You could take it with you if you're on the go. You could bring it with you to a friend's place. And it has a little more versatility in that regard than just getting a gaming laptop, which is more expensive and possibly also more scary to bring places where it could be lost or stolen. And now that's not an option anymore. And that's kind of sad. And that was my point, Adam.
Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. Not the point I thought you were going to make.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
why I say you gotta let me
'Cause
finish sometimes.
It's the point that Kreider has made before of like, oh, at that price, why don't you get a gaming laptop? Well, you're not going to play with that in your hand. Like I think if people are looking for a handheld, they're looking for a handheld. If you're looking for more general computing device, then you shouldn't be like I don't think I'd ever recommend somebody do a handheld over a laptop if you're looking for a general computing device.
Yeah. I realize we're not in this world anymore, but my baseline for handhelds has always started at the Steam Deck, which started at $400 as a very viable alternative to like the Switch, which was somewhere between $200 and $350 at the time. Even that has bumped up, but right now, like for someone who already has a computer, and I'm assuming that they do, I'd have a really hard time recommending an almost $800 Steam Deck versus like a Switch 2. Unless you're in indie PC gaming all the time, almost exclusively, that is a tough call.
Yeah, well, and especially because right now you can still get Asus hasn't had to mark up their prices yet. So whether you get the $600 Ally Non-X, which is equivalent to a Steam Deck and still at that $600 price, or the Xbox Ally X with the Z2 Extreme is still $1,000. So $200 more over the top end Steam Deck to get that much more performance and all that kind of stuff like that. Yeah,
that basically is just your PC.
Yeah. Like there's just no Well,
it's nice that on both those devices you can throw SteamOS on there very easily and have a great time.
Yes, true. Yeah. Well, yeah. So
sounds like a good segue.
Yeah. I mean, there are some other questions here in the chat I want to get to real quick. I'm not going to get into the handheld once again. So if you want to go hear more of these questions like FSR support or, specific gaming and things like that. And even I did plug into an eGPU. So
do you want to handle the questions related to this now, or do you want to hold it for later? I have a couple. I have at least one that I pulled out.
Let's do two now. I mean, unless it's something about the handheld specifically. But,
no, actually, it's a good one. This is from friend of the show, Deotis. Wanted to know, price aside, does the G3 Extreme mark the quote generational uplift that would warrant a Steam Deck 2? He says, granted, I wouldn't want Valve to do it now, maybe 2028 with better RAM and storage.
No. Yeah. I mean, but also like Valve.
You don't think this chip is good enough to warrant a Steam Deck 2? You'd want to see more progression on this style of chip before?
Well, but
that happened?
The thing is that Valve, what we've seen with the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine, which we'll talk about in a minute, has never chased the best of the best. So right now, this is one of the best chips you can get out there. Like the Steam Deck, when it came out, that was not the best of the best chip. The Steam Machine, it's not best of the best. So that's why, like, is the generational uplift there? Heck yeah. But like Valve isn't trying to play that. It's kind of like Nintendo's strategy.
That makes
like
sense.
They never try to chase the best of the best.
So it might be a while then, because like if you're going by that philosophy, then it seems more likely like that Valve would wait for something like the G3 Extreme to come down to being like the mid level of performance before then they pulled it in for a hardware refresh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after doing testing with ARM on PC gaming, I think the Steam Machine 2 is going to be ARM based. So I think that's yes, because like you're getting very good performance at very efficient power levels and cheaper prices. You can get a an AYN Thor or Odin 3 or whatever for like $400, and the amount of PC games you can play on there right now is like, I mean, it's still minimal compared to Proton and Windows, of course, but the work that's being done there is like the early days of Proton, where things are starting to catch up to the point where I think the low end of handhelds in the future will all be ARM based, where x86 is just going to play in the high end.
But we are talking more about the mid to high range, though, for something like a Steam Deck. So do you think it's actually going to be some kind of later successor, probably cut down, sort of something like the RTX Spark, rather than something in this more x86 mold?
I mean, if it's NVIDIA based, I think it would be more an update to their Tegra, which is what's in the Switch and what was in the Shield and things like that. So a more powerful Tegra I could see, or like, I mean, but that's like, I think NVIDIA just isn't focusing on that. So more likely, I think it'll be a Qualcomm Snapdragon part.
Yeah, since you mentioned that, it's important to note that the Steam frame is based on Qualcomm chips. So Valve is already working on that from a software perspective, presumably in a pretty intense way.
Yeah, I mean, their whole FEX initiative is catching up quick. So that's why I think we'll never see, like, or if we hope to see a Steam Deck style pricing again, it'll probably be ARM based. It'll probably be off of the work of all the translations later stuff. So
I honestly, personally, again, this is a little bit of pre-segue into the next topic. Given the environment that the Steam machine launched into, I wouldn't be surprised if Valve is going to be a little more gun shy right now about doing anything hardware related for the next like 4 years even.
Absolutely.
we'll talk
because
about that.
like honestly, they don't have. I think I was watching the Gamers Nexus review of the Steam machine, and one of the things that Steve pointed out was that Valve has no sway with the memory makers in order to like negotiate for getting any kind of supply from them. And to drive home that point, Steve said, "Look, even G.Skill is a nobody on this scale. G.Skill, which sells consumers RAM as one of like their main products, right? And that's just the scale of this right now. Like that is how little pull these companies have when it comes to what's going on. Yeah. And I would say that if I were Valve, and I was doing this because I'm primarily a software company, I'm getting into hardware just because I want to further my ambitions or like my vision of an open source, free choice kind of world. I don't think I would necessarily have that same pressure to be like, I got to release a number 2.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the Steam machine, because I want to follow that up, there's a couple more things. I'm not even going to say this name, TOZJ9ZJ. Is there up to an 80% performance uplift at 15 watts versus the Steam Deck on that chip? I don't know. I didn't test it that way. The way I tested it was, what's the maximum amount of performance? If I were you, I would go watch Russ from Retro Game Core. He has some good normalized testing on that. The other thing, there are a couple more questions I want to get to, but now I lost them. The other thing I want to say to wrap this up is that the amazing work we're seeing with 18A on Panther Lake, I think this is also going to give us a glimpse into what's going to come to the desktop. So imagine if Intel had a Ryzen G series equivalent. Because right now AMD kind of has those nice. It's a CPU with
APUs,
it's an APU. So during the worst of times, we say, oh yeah, maybe you get that, you game on it until you can slot in a discrete card. Intel has never really had a version of that where it's like, oh yeah, you know what?
Technically, they sort of did. Remember that KB Lake G part?
Yeah.
Wasn't socketed though.
yeah. So
I remember right.
But yeah, imagine if you could get an Intel part that was socketed that had a GPU that was worth a damn. This, like, we're seeing the fruits of that, and I think Nova Lake, we could see that in the future.
I think that's too soon. Too soon.
I mean, it's 18A. It's 18A.
If this is $1,800, I can't realistically see something slotting into the budget end, which is typically on desktop what a socketed part would feel more like, right? Because I forgot the most recent version of it. Is it the 8600G?
I think
Did they release a 9000 series version yet? I don't think they have. Yeah. So I mean, that comes in around 200-ish.
200-ish, yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. So I think that this technology is new enough. I would hate to be proven wrong. Intel, please prove me wrong. That we would see a part at that price.
Oh, I forgot there was 8700G, which is a little bit of a step up for like 270-ish. But
right.
I mean, listen, guess what? Spoilers, pricing sucks everywhere, so the pricing is not going to be good. But like they've never even had that option, regardless of pricing. So,
sure. I mean, I don't think the CPU side of things is being impacted as strongly right now by all of this pricing craziness. It's really just memory and storage that's causing a lot of the downward pressure on everything.
And APUs rely more on memory bandwidth and capacity.
They do.
But
you will need to invest in memory.
I've been talking to vendors off the record, and a lot of them are saying, "Hey, listen, unified memory is a huge thing for AI." But in the future, unified memory solutions, I think, will be even more important in the PC gaming space as well. I mean, we see that with Strix Halo. We see that in a lot of other different ways. But like that's why I think, hey, sure, maybe you don't care about handhelds. You don't care about, Panther Lake in a laptop. But I think we're going to see a glimpse of the kind of performance we're going to get out of Nova Lake. And I think they are going to emphasize the integrated GPU on that now more than ever. So
I don't know.
See.
I don't know what's going to happen. I actually think in general, we are not going to see a lot of progress as quickly as we've gotten used to in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it's going to slow back down again for a while.
Which honestly, I think can be a good thing. You know what?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's slowing down so quickly, we're going backwards in places.
What are you referring to?
Like the newest Surface laptops are cutting their RAM and storage because they just can't make them affordable, and they're still much more expensive. So yeah, I'd say in terms of accessible technology, we're absolutely going backwards at the moment.
That's okay because nobody buys Surface devices anyway. So
I mean, it's not a bad thing that we will see out of necessity better software optimization. I think we've gone a long time without that being a focus, but I don't love the reason for it.
Yeah, right. Anyway,
on that note,
what I do love is pausing for an ad break. No, I'm just kidding. I don't love it, but we're going to do it anyway. So we'll be right back after these messages. And look at that, we're back to talk about the Steam Machine. We've already started talking about it.
I started hinting at it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to assume with this crowd, everyone just wants to start with talking about the price.
I mean, Kreider, why don't you like get us up to speed for context?
Yeah.
Well, if you've looked on the internet at anything for the last day, you've seen it. We've been waiting for it for months. Valve has officially announced the price and the date yesterday. The
shadow dropped.
The base price that you get with no other extras, 512 gigs of storage, is $1,049 in the US.
Yay.
No.
Yeah, and you can get it with. There's only two variations. You can get it with more storage, and I think they throw in some faceplates, and you can get a Steam controller in there with a tiny discount. It's bad. But it's not as horrible as I think everybody was expecting. I was thinking $1,200 for a base price. So Valve has already said, I believe, that they're not selling this as a loss leader like a conventional console. But if they're not, they got to be going right on the edge with little or no profit margin in there.
Yeah. So to add on to what you said, the configurations are kind of interesting, and go watch reviews. Digital Foundry has one up. Gamers Nexus has one up. Gamers Nexus, man, Steve, I just gotta tell you, you're a penchant for being able to just like cramming all those numbers super fast. I actually had to slow down the video to keep up with all the data. My brain's too slow for that, man. One of the most interesting things about this, so it is a mostly fixed configuration. So you get 16 gigabytes of memory, and you have a choice of the 512 or 2 terabyte storage options. Obviously, the 2 terabyte version is much more expensive. But here's the thing. That memory, there's like a weird gotcha in here, which is that the memory can either be one DIMM of 16 gigabytes or 2 DIMMs of 8 gigabytes. And from what I could tell from the reviews, you don't get to choose this. It's just kind of whatever is the one that's shipped to you. And I haven't looked in depth into this, but I hate that. I think that if that's going to happen, you should actually be able to choose which one it is.
I bet it wasn't even a choice for them. I bet if you look at the manufacturing dates, it's probably like, oh yeah, when we first manufactured, it was this configuration, and then when we made another run to beef up for the launch.
Yes. So one thing they do talk about in these different reviews, they talk about it to Mike's point. They talk about how they really don't get a say in what they're being given, right? I think one of the, I don't know if it was an executive or one of the engineers said, if they say this is what you're getting, we have to say yes. Otherwise, they're not going to sell us anymore, like at all. Yeah. Basically, they're like, oh, you don't want it? We won't work with you anymore. It's basically kind of the implication of that interview. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt. They are obviously presenting it a certain way for their benefit. But the short of it is, they even try to spin it this way, and I did laugh a little, where they said, well, it's a good option for some people if you get the 1 stick or the 1 DIMM, because then you have the option later on to upgrade to 32. And I'm just thinking, well, if you don't get to choose, then you don't actually get a say in that. And in the meanwhile, you do have to deal with the whole lack of performance, or like the lesser performance you're going to get from being single channel instead of dual channel, which, it's not, it depends on how you're using it, how much it'll affect you, but even still. It's a little weird quirk. So that's one of the biggest, I think, takeaways. If you haven't been following the reviews, if you haven't looked it up much, this is one of the biggest things to know. If you invest in a steam machine, and I feel like at this point, at the prices they're at, it is an investment, not necessarily a purchase. That is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Well, real quick, performance was pretty much what a lot of people expected. It's according to Digital Foundry, which that was my favorite review. I did link to it down in the description. They're putting it on par with a PS5 non-pro. So, okay, cool. It's older hardware, like Valve, rightfully so, says they're aiming for the biggest part of the market that they're seeing on the Steam hardware survey. And so for them and the kind of games that they like to play, this is going to be perfectly cromulent for that. And I mean,
you did watch Digital Foundry.
Yeah. So, I mean, and PS5, like, still looks good, it's not like the PS5 is hurting for visuals or anything like that. So, but yeah, the problem is, and Davina just pointed out, the PS5 is much cheaper, the non-pro. So this even turns in a bigger price than the PS5 Pro, which is the step up. So, okay. Yeah, there's that. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I would say, real quick, just jumping in, for people who want more of a PC perspective on this, for comparison, watch the Gamers Nexus review. That's very PC focused. And so across their benchmark suites for the GPU side, they pegged this somewhere between performing similar to an RX 6600, sometimes an RX 5700, sometimes a RTX 3060. So it's kind of where you're looking at in terms of game performance on the PC side. Yeah. For the CPU performance, it's somewhere close to like a Ryzen 7 3700X. So, and Val even talks about this in some of the interviews. They were not targeting the highest level of hardware with this.
Which same with the Steam Deck.
They also did say they started mocking this up or talking about this in 2023. And so by the time they got to the point of being ready to announce, all this craziness just kind of slammed into them.
I mean, the thing is, like, I did try to price out, I made a PC part picker list. I'm not going to share it here, but I did try to quickly price out what an equivalent system would be based off of what Digital Foundry.
Did it too.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Digital Foundry had pegged a 5600X with a CPU, and then the GPU is like a 7600X. And so, like, pricing it out with that, and the RAM configuration and stuff like that, I got to something that was equivalent of like, and I went real cheap with some of the stuff, like the case and the power supply. I did not the Gordon special. I didn't go that cheap.
Cardboard box.
Yeah. But like I went pretty budget on that. And yeah, I think I hit like $950 before taxes and shipping and all that kind of stuff.
Crowder actually posted an article this morning.
Oh, you did?
Doing a similar parts list.
Let me go look.
You want to talk about it real quick, Mike?
Yep. I haven't had time to really dig into the technical reviews, unfortunately. So I just went purely on specs, and basically you can match it up to a Ryzen 7600X and a Radeon 7600 or RX 7600 to roughly match the number of cores, threads, stuff like that. And I got it down to $888, which is, and yesterday when I was doing it based on an earlier, again, PC Part Picker, wonderful tool, it was at like 1080. So like I said, what Valve is charging for this hardware is not unreasonable given the current market.
Yeah, given the current market.
Yes. So like you were saying earlier, Valve is obviously an enormous player in terms of PC gaming, but in terve of hardware manufacturing, they're a tiny also-ran. Like I think the Nintendo Switch has sold something like 120, 130 million units compared to the best estimate anybody can get is somewhere between 5 and 10 million Steam Decks. So like,
or the other number I like to say is that the biggest console flop, the Wii U, has still double, sold more than double the Steam Deck probably. So
yeah.
One thing I also wanted to mention though too, that pulling out from the reviews, and again you should go support those channels and just dig into all of those details, is that for all the people who would say like, oh, you can save so much money doing it DIY, yes, you can. But one of the advantages to the Steam Machine is, one, its footprint, and two, specifically, and again, I'm not saying that the Digital Foundry review isn't good. I listened to both, I watched both, but Gamers Nexus did a whole thing on the acoustics of the Steam Machine, and it is incredibly quiet. And that is not necessarily something that you'll be able to do with a DIY at the price that Mike configured, because you'll have to invest more into your cooling if you want to really focus on acoustics. And so it's kind of it's one of those things where, and it was interesting because listening to the reviews, it was like they went through all these numbers. The numbers didn't always sound very enthusiastic, like as they were covering it. And then at the end, both reviews, from my takeaway at least, they both said like, yeah, it's a pretty decent machine. Like I could see someone buying this, which is not what I expected to hear from both of them.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a very limited pool of people who got access to it, so
but not even that though, because I actually understood their logic. Because yes, the hardware isn't thrilling. Yes, or I guess no, the price is not thrilling. But for what it is, the fact that there's this like tiny kind of more console-like thing that you can put in your living room that you can just pay money for, it's already configured for you, it has SteamOS on it, which we will talk about in a moment, and that it's so quiet, that is not something that you can necessarily reproduce from a DIY perspective, and so it does have a place. It's probably a pretty narrow niche, but it does have a place, and if you fit that, or if you're interested in experimenting with it, then yeah, it's a decent thing to pick up.
Well, and I feel like you could get equivalent sound settings, depending on your configuration, the fan speeds, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that one is more obtainable if you're trying to build your own
size.
But that's the thing. Well, it's two things actually.
That's what I mean. It's a combination. What I'm saying is not one or the other. It is the combination of its size and the acoustics, and still being able to perform as it does.
Well, and the other thing too, and people point this out, and I think it's something that shouldn't be overlooked, but the HDMI CEC. Like that's something that you just cannot get on your machine.
We just talked about it last week.
Yeah, we did. Whether you want to use it or not, that's a whole different thing.
You can just start it up with a remote.
Yeah, so like that's the thing. I love small form factor.
Yeah.
Like I am a huge fan of that.
Yep.
And so for me,
I was here at the inception of that.
Yeah, you were. You're the one who helped it. So I mean, there's somebody in here. Oh, here we go. Alan Core claims, who in their right mind would buy a Steam machine? If you're somebody who likes like amazing power in a small little footprint, you can't build equivalent like that. You just can't, like at that price kind of thing. So it's like, like that, between that, the fact that it's still quiet, the SteamOS, full SteamOS support, you're buying it from Valve, a trusted vendor, all that kind of stuff. Like I think there definitely is a use case for it. There's something for everyone. But like in a different timeline where this would have come out at a more normalized price, Like this, I think this thing would have been a banger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Because somebody else pointed out in chat, I think a friend of the show, one of our regulars, Scribefix, mentions, this is the kind of thing that you could buy, put in your living room, and a non-tech roommate or partner who really cares about aesthetics would be more likely to be okay with having that in the living room. It's also a great way to sort of sneakily pull them over to the PC gaming side of things, right? If it looks like a console and it fits next to all the other consoles, then
and it acts like a console.
Yeah, exactly. There might be a much easier way to get them over to PC gaming.
Yeah, if the argument is between a $1,050 Steam machine and a $900 machine you have to build yourself, if we're talking about a $150 delta, even as somebody who loves building PCs and like respects that process, I'd go with the Steam machine easily, because you do have it small, you do have it quiet, you have semi-guaranteed software support from Valve and from a lot of developers who are going to be shooting for this hardware configuration, and you get a warranty. It's not as good a deal as we all would have hoped for, but it's still pretty darn good, all things considered.
If this had come out last year at last year's prices, and this probably would have been something like a $500 to $600 machine.
Well, I did see,
and at that price, I totally would have picked one up just for funsies.
Right?
Just for funsies.
Yeah. Well, I did see, and I don't remember where I saw this. This might have been over on The Verge somewhere, but I feel like I saw somewhere saying somebody at Valve quoting that the increase that you're seeing, the prices for the Steam Deck are the same, almost equivalent increases that of what they're having to do with the Steam machine. So if we take that into account, I don't know percentages, but the Steam Deck was roughly like a 35 to 40% increase. So what would so we kind of have maybe a little bit of glimpse of what that would have been, if you can help me do the math.
Somewhere in 700 to 800, yeah.
Not in my head.
But, so that probably would have sat between right now a PS5 and a PS5 Pro, right? Because the PS5 Pro, I think, is at $950, and the PS5 is what, $650, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, then that equation is definitely something where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, it's equivalent. It's easy to use. It's a small footprint that you just can't build your own. You're gonna, put it in there. Like, I think this would have been a whole different discussion.
Yeah, I mean, the hardware probably would have been different too, because one of the things that I think came up in either one of the reviews we've mentioned, like Digital Foundry or GamerSex, is that they couldn't even get the hardware they wanted. Like in some cases, they just couldn't get it, period. Yeah. So imagine if everything was available to them. Like, this is last year. This is literally a year ago, before all this kind of stuff blew up, before the tariffs were kind of a big deal and all that, right? If they had done this last year, we probably would have seen something that would have been a more powerful CPU, possibly more powerful GPU, and it would have come in closer to probably $650, $700. It would be similar to the actual, maybe even PlayStation 5 Pro, right? So then they could basically say, here's a competition to your best console that you can buy from, one of the actual game console makers. But, come with us instead, because we're open. We have better game sales, and we don't charge to play multiplayer online.
Yeah, the fact that it's coming in different configurations with a single DIMM or a double DIMM for the RAM tells me they've been trying to get a bunch of it for a long time. And at one point, it wouldn't surprise me if they were thinking about offering a 32 gig option for people who also wanted to use it as a more powerful Linux desktop.
Yeah, well, and especially at that base of 512, yes, you can expand it with, you can expand it yourself if you want to. You can also use microSD to expand it. I didn't see anybody testing necessarily performance off of a microSD.
I wouldn't want to do that. I don't feel like that type of flash memory is particularly fast.
Yeah, I'm surprised they included it at all. But I think the selling point, at least at the time, was like, oh, it's formatted the same as the Steam Deck. So if you had a Steam Deck and this, you could literally pop it out and use the same library. Like, that could, that could be something interesting. But yeah, I don't know. So, I guess the biggest thing for me, I can get to some questions, but
get to some questions, because I actually I actually have something I want to say that starts relating to the other half of this, which is just Steam OS and a DIY Steam machine. but I don't want to pull us off the hardware talk just yet if there's more to be discussed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna hold some of some of that stuff. Here we go. Kraken AI, friend of the show, over on Discord, asks, with the Steam Machine priced at $1,000 and the Claw, the Claw EX at $1,800, set precedents that the PS6 and Xbox Helix might launch at $2,000. I mean, I don't think 2,000, but what does this mean for console hardware going forward?
Everything's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be more expensive. So I actually wonder if you don't have the scale, that's already going to make everything more expensive too. And then I just don't know if it's going to chicken or egg itself into non-existence because no one's really buying.
Right. I mean, yeah, because even the people who do have the scale, like Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo is struggling as well, even though they're scaling seemingly fine. At that scale, prices are going to be elevated, and also just expectations. Like, could we see any of the consoles coming out under $1,000?
I mean, if they feel, they're going to have to. I think the minute you put a 4-digit price tag on a console, it's going to make a lot of people just kind of do the whole record scratch in their head and go, I guess I'm just going to live it out longer with my current console. I don't anticipate it being much under 1,000 though, if prices keep going the way they are. So I honestly wonder if it is even a smart move to be launching new console hardware in the next few years.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. There's a real push and pull here because, the consoles are so powerful and so mature that you could extend the generation out a couple of years, maybe even 3 years, without a huge disruption to your plans and just say, hey, put it on the back burner. But then who knows what the market's going to do in 3 years? Is it going to be even more expensive? Are we going to be talking about $1,500 consoles if you push it out that far?
Well, and guess what? These are publicly traded companies. You can't just go to the shareholders and be like, hey, you know what? We're going to push it out a couple years. They want their new shiny stuff and their bigger margins. So I think we can't discount the pressure of capitalism going on that regardless, of prices, companies are continuing to release stuff. So yeah, whether they continue to maintain the older stuff, I think that's the other question too. Yeah, maybe we hit a future which hasn't happened before where they're like, oh, you know what? We're actually going to have both of them sit side by side, for longer than ever, where the lower end one is going to stay the sub $1,000 and then the higher end one is your other option.
I honestly wouldn't want that future though, because because we've seen this play out over multiple generations. And of course that was in a different world, but every time they do this, where they split between an older console generation and a newer one, the older one inevitably starts getting ignored. And it's just the optimization isn't quite there. Because the thing is that there's only so much time in a day. Studios are only as big as they are. They cannot fully optimize properly, in my opinion, for 2 generations over the long haul. I think it's a lot more work, honestly. So inevitably what happens is that the older generation just gets neglected long enough. And after a year or two, it kind of forces people to either upgrade or just go elsewhere if they can't afford to upgrade. And I don't love that for people if we're talking about a landscape of near $1,000 or even $1,000 consoles. It could actually end up pushing people more to PC gaming, who knows? Which, for a lot of people listening to the show probably would be a benefit. But I think it's healthy for everybody to have choice. And that to me includes gaming consoles that are purpose-built. There's a whole reason why Steam Machine is even existing, because there is a subset of the population that doesn't want to deal with building a PC, doesn't want to deal with drivers, doesn't want to deal with maintenance. And it would be a real sad thing if people in that camp were not properly, addressed with what's on the market.
Well, and actually, here's a good question that kind of follows up to that from friend of the show, Ungrateful Customer, continues to change their name. I like it. Sneaky. What is a Steam machine? People keep saying it's not a PC when somebody compares it to a PC. Then when compared to a PS5 in pricing, they say it's not the same category. So what is a Steam machine supposed to be? We haven't really addressed that. What would you call it?
It is the Chevy SSR of video games.
Ooh, that's a reference I don't know.
yeah,
You got to explain
I know
that
somebody
to me.
out there. It's El Camino of video games, neither a car nor a truck.
That thing.
So yeah,
Oh boy,
I
that thing.
hate that thing.
Oh. Well, we don't like the way that looks.
Yeah, that was bad.
you've got elements of both. It really doesn't fit neatly into either package. So, I mean, it's going for a very particular slice of the market, but I think that's a good part of it to be going after. And Microsoft agrees because they're going to try to do it themselves in a year or two.
Yeah.
Also, a shout out to one not that Will Smith hanging out in our chat.
What's up, Will?
Saying, welcome to the forever consoles,
Yeah.
folks.
Also, I will say, so Will Smith does have a Steam machine heading his way. He will be covering it over on Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod.
Nice.
Go tune into that. He gave me a little sneak preview on how he's going to be testing. I'm just going to read it here. Over there. So he's saying he's going to do some benchmarks, focus on some experimental stuff. Also do an exercise of what can I build that's comparable price and performance, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, probably not on this week's episode of the of Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod, but probably the week after. Just to give him some time. So look for further testing over there. So I'm excited to hear what Will thinks. But
Speaking of building your own machine, can we move topics or subtopics? Or are we still taking questions?
I do have
I'm so ready.
well,
I'm so ready.
yeah, sorry. Well, here, let me ask a question. Friend of the show, Liquid R asked, did any of us put in an order for a Steam machine for the raffle?
Oh, you did.
Actually, I did too. But I even if I get picked, I'm not going to buy it. So.
Well, here's my thinking. I want it just out of professional curiosity. Like, it would be helpful for my job to have one that I can put my hands on.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Even if I did do it with my money. This is not going to be a company machine. This is one I would like to purchase for myself. The thinking is that with how incredibly limited these things are, even if I buy it and don't like it, I can sell it on eBay for exactly as much as I paid for it, if not more. I don't want to be considered a flipper, but in terms of investment and money lost, it's basically an easy bet.
Actually, that's a good point. I guess I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just can't. I mean, I have. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're going there. I can't go there personally.
Have you not asked?
Yes, I've officially asked for a review unit. We have not heard back from Valve, so
Probably will be a little bit.
I mean, I don't. I did the same thing for the Steam controller. Never heard back, so which is fine. I mean, guess what? Join the crowd of all the other outlets that did not receive that one either. So, it's a very limited selection, so I don't take it personally. Yeah. So, well, real quick, here's the other thing that I kind of want to get into is that I feel like Valve came out with the Steam Deck for a reason to help reinvigorate that market that was, like it was there. There was people making x86 based handhelds and small form factor things, but really the Steam Deck is kind of what pushed it off, right? And at the same time, they did it in a way that could address a mass market audience. So like that's why I feel like the Steam Deck was kind of had that special sauce to be successful. In a world where the prices aren't where the prices aren't crazy right now, I think the Steam machine could have been that. It could have been that same thing of like,
if this had dropped last year.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Unfortunately, they're releasing it in the world there are now, and I think this thing is essentially just dead on arrival. Unfortunately, I think this is
harsh.
Like they're technically launching it, kind of like they technically launched the original Steam machine.
I I don't think it's the same thing.
That there's a curse behind the Steam machine.
No, don't say that.
And that, but actually, I'm not going to steal this. I'm going to give this to intern Glenn. He pointed out, he's like, well, Valve has a hard time with making things of 3. So, so we probably won't get a Steam Machine 3.
Hard or just resistant?
Who knows? But the thing is, like, Valve is not a hardware company. They don't want to be a hardware company.
I don't think they do. No.
Yeah, they don't want to. They're not making their money based off of hardware. Even during the heyday of the Steam Deck, like, I can't imagine, the bean counters are sitting there being like, oh yeah, this is a big part of our revenue. This is important.
Software always makes more money than hardware.
Yeah, so like
the margins are way bigger.
With that, I think they're releasing it technically, yes. In limited supply, and sure, maybe they'll make some if there's enough orders in the future, but I think for the most part this thing's just released and then they're just going to move on.
I don't agree, and I want so badly to move on, but I'm going to touch on it, which is I see the Steam Machine version 2, round 2, as launching in a different environment as the original Steam Machine, and I think that's going to make a difference for it. So when the first version launched in late 2014, early 2015, really, is when they were talking about it most. So about a decade ago, nobody really had a concept of it, right? Everyone was just thinking, because everyone was so entrenched at the time. Like, Sony was Sony, Microsoft was Microsoft, Nintendo was Nintendo, and you chose one of these houses to ally yourself with, or you were someone who tried to do all 3, and everyone's like, that's weird, and they tried to force you into a camp anyway. So when this PC that came out that basically was imitating this living room experience, but didn't do it particularly well, that really stacked the cards against it, because nobody really wanted to put their money towards it, right? In terms of the vendor supporting it by releasing products in this vein. And other people were thinking, well, I already have a console that I'm allied with, or I'm already on PC. Why do I need a living room experience? I can just either use an Xbox, use a PlayStation, use I don't know what was available then, a Switch, I don't remember. Or I could just build a living room PC, because that's how everyone thought back then. But now we are in a different environment. We have things like cross-play, cross-platform support. People are really used to now bouncing between platforms and not really thinking so much about which one they're on. They're just thinking about, where can I play this game? So I think in this environment, having a Steam Machine that shows people, hey, you can put a really small form factor PC in your living room. This is a really good example for people to emulate, right? Because I think the real thing that they're doing is that they're, in my opinion, given the environment, the Steam Machine is going to basically be almost like the founder's edition of the Steam Machine concept. Here is the epitome of what this could be. Everyone else, because they're also making Steam OS available for people to download and use on their own machines. And I really want to talk about this, by the way.
Almost.
They can use this as their model, right? They can use this as like, oh, wait, that's a thing I can do. I can build my own living room PC, maybe even with parts I already have, but just in a smaller form factor. And I can now have this more true living room console experience on a PC. And if I have hardware that supports, the whole like HDMI CEC stuff, now I can get my partner to be okay with me having a living room PC. So in some ways, I almost think of the Steam Machine as not necessarily going to be dead on arrival. I don't necessarily think that as a actual physical thing, it's going to become popular the way that the Switch has or anything else.
Or the Steam Deck.
But I think it as a concept is really important. And I think that that's really what's going to be happening here. And I don't think that's going to be dead on arrival.
So that was my point, and we're 100% agreement. The
actual us?
Yeah, well, no, the Steam Machine hardware is like, I don't think they're going to sell huge amounts of these. No. Like the Steam Deck, like the Steam Deck worked as a piece of hardware and worked well until the price increase, whatever. Mm-hmm. The Steam Machine is not going to replicate that. But if they only ever sell 10,000 of these things, the concept is still there. They still have
Concept's
paid.
more
Yeah,
important.
and so at the end of the day, they don't need to be a hardware manufacturer, a traditional hardware manufacturer, and like make millions of these to get that concept out there. They've already released it. It is launched. And they don't have to make a ton more to say, hey, you know what? The concept is out there. And I mean, they've even said so. Like, what other vendor comes out? Can you imagine if MSI came out and said, hey, you know what? We have this brand new Claw 8EX, 8, yeah, whatever, whatever the name is. Yeah.
Manufacturer names,
I'm
man.
sorry. Yeah. We've got this new piece of hardware. We're really excited to sell this to you, but it's okay. You could build your own. Like no manufacturer comes out and says that. So I think in a different world, they wouldn't have come out and pushed that hard. But now they are. Like, I think SteamOS, whether they like it or not, is going to be the legacy of both the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine.
Well, here's the key difference, though. MSI is a hardware vendor. Of course, they're not going to do that. Valve is a software vendor.
Yep.
They want Steam and SteamOS to spread because
that's the goal.
And that's what I mean. This is, I don't want to call it a Trojan horse, but this is definitely seeding something. They're trying to seed like a future where they end up being a very prominent player. Like, their vision for PC gaming is really dominant. And so I can absolutely see that, yes, MSI would never say, hey, you can DIY your own Claw, but I can see a world where Valve says, yeah, here's some hardware, but you know what's really what we want you to get on board with? SteamOS. We want you to really get on board with the idea of SteamOS, and our ecosystem, and just PC gaming and more of that openness in general. Well, whether or not Steam is actually truly open is a different debate. I'll leave that for a different time. I'll leave that for a different time. But I also, this reminds me a lot of what Intel did with the NUCs, right? I fell in love immediately with mini PCs. I fell in love with mini PCs immediately. Like, Gordon came to me one day in the Maximum PC offices, and he had this tiny 4x4 brick in his hand. He's probably like,
I don't want this thing. You play with
it. The thing about Gordon is that even though he was weird sometimes about which hardware he championed and didn't, he always loved something that really pushed boundaries, and this was that, because we really hadn't seen this form factor before. And Intel was basically saying, that's what even NUC stands for, Next Unit of Computing, right? They saw this as a future for computing, where you had these tiny PCs where it was more of an enterprise application, obviously, because you could mount this on the back of a monitor at a trade show or a display. And so it basically solved a need that wasn't being addressed. That's why they had the compute sticks, why they had the NUCs and all of that. Now, it kind of languished for a while as a concept, but Intel got it out there. And eventually, maybe about like 5-ish years ago, that's when I suddenly started seeing it take off as a concept among Chinese vendors, right? So that's why we have things like B-Link, Minis Forum, and a bunch of other vendors that are doing this concept. And then once Intel sold that division off, I was really scared, honestly, when they did that, and I was sad because I thought it might be the end of it, but it's actually been the opposite, and I'm really excited about that, because once ASUS took it over, suddenly other vendors started getting in on it too. MSI is coming out with it, right?
MSI's have been awesome.
Gigabyte, I haven't seen as much in a while, but I might just be behind on that.
Yeah,
they were actually one of the early vendors to try to pick up on that trend. And so I'm thinking that if this takes off, if people, see it and at least emotionally attached to it as a concept, and I think that's why making SteamOS as a generally available download is really key to this, vendors like MSI, vendors like ASUS will go, hey, can we make something like that? And then that could help spread the concept too.
Well, and I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, I've actually been begging somebody to put SteamOS on a laptop for over a year, and I think we're getting close there. I mean, Lenovo will sell you a handheld at Best Buy that runs SteamOS out of the box. Like, we are just a couple of steps away from somebody selling a mini PC with discrete or integrated graphics that is essentially a Steam machine, and you can play what, 60 or 70% of the stuff that's available on Steam with no problem on integrated graphics, and sell that sucker for like $300 as a cheaper alternative to these $600-$700 Xboxes and PlayStations, and you'll get a lot of people who want it.
Which is why, once again, I'm so excited about like the G3 Extreme, because integrated is so good, and these tiny little packages, you know, with the promise of getting SteamOS on there and some more console-like experience, I mean, I'm the reason. One of the reasons why both Will and I were very excited isn't the word, but more easily to start Dual Boot Diaries is because
inspired.
we were like, hey, we've both used SteamOS. Like, it has gotten to a place where, you know, we're a little bit more comfortable with using desktop Linux kind of stuff, and I've seen other people say that too about the Steam Deck. And that's the thing, is that like I think I predicted this last year when they got announced. I thought, in a completely different world, you know, with the pricing not where it is, I thought the Steam machine could have been even bigger than the Steam Deck, because I think that the Steam Deck is still only aiming at a market that likes handhelds, and some people just don't like handhelds. Yeah. And that's fine. But the Steam machine is a way bigger market that people could be like, oh, okay, PC gaming in their living room kind of thing. Yeah. So like, it's so unfortunate that their version of the box is not working out. But hopefully the whole idea of it starts to take hold, and more normal users who are into consoles that are scared away by the PC are like, oh, I've heard about the Steam machine thing. Oh, it's not a good deal, but I've also heard that you can go build your own and it's actually easy to configure. Yep. Or somebody like Asus or MSI has their own version of it. Like that would be super cool.
So I don't even know if I'll be here in 10 years at PCWorld. Hopefully on this planet.
Yeah, I was just
hopefully on this planet.
Getting dark here.
But I don't know if I can make a prediction this far for the future, but I would guess that in 10 years, assuming nothing else catastrophic happens, but we would see something like a G3 Extreme now become more affordable, more like baseline, like even like budget level. Right? In that time, like even 5 years from now, if SteamOS becomes popular enough among enthusiasts and us builders, for us to say, hey, like we actually can make this work pretty well. And if consoles get really expensive, then we start doing this for friends and family. People start realizing, hey, I can buy older used hardware to make this work. Then I could see, if the market improves again, it's basically like Nux. Suddenly the vendors are like, hey, there's cheap enough hardware that we can produce units en masse that people can just either we install it for them or they install it themselves on this. And now we have the mini PC equivalent, Steam machine, like basically imitates the whole NUC sort of like progression.
Well, I think a similar approach might be like you talk about like techies like us building something for our friends and family. We've got stuff like that with the Raspberry Pi. Like people load that up with, emulator machines and just send it out. Hey, I've configured everything for you. It was super easy. Here's this tiny thing. Plug it into your TV and you're ready to go. We're reaching the point of hardware where you can get just a ton of PC gaming on not something like Raspberry Pi level, but like the equivalent level of an x86 machine, and just throw it together and throw it out there. Either you can do that for your friends, or you could just point and say, hey, this is that thing, buy it, and you don't have to worry about it. This is something that is either pre-configured with SteamOS, which I think Valve very much wants to do, or is like, hey, follow this link and download this thing and follow this installer in like 10 minutes, and there's SteamOS for you.
Well, and here
Can we talk about it now?
Well, real quick. This future can happen regardless of the prices normalizing or changing, because the whole idea of being able to take hardware you already have and put Linux on it exists right now, and I think because of all this stuff going on, and if SteamOS continues to have support for broader hardware, I don't think it's not an anecdote. I can't think of the right term. I don't think it's coincidence that now more than ever they're talking about, we'll finally address SteamOS support with NVIDIA hardware and other vendors and things like that, because hey, guess what? You have a laptop right now that could run SteamOS perfectly well. You don't need to buy new hardware for it. So let's try to expand the pool. So yes, please.
Let's talk about it now. So I'm so excited for this. And that actually you can download SteamOS right now and try it out, but there are limitations, right? And you just touched on some of them.
There's always been limitations.
There's always been limitations, but I think that this will help. I'm really excited for how this will help potentially making it viable, where, people who want to do this can go back to their bosses and then the bee couchers and say like, hey, we've got all this, interest and download and support. Can we talk about trying to get NVIDIA hardware to work better with this?
Well, here's the hard part is that I don't believe that Valve wants to be a hardware company, right?
Yeah.
Like they're doing the hardware in service of something. The real question is, do they want to be a distro maintainer? Because that's the other thing too, is like if they either have a path where they're like, okay, you know what, we're gonna have SteamOS grow to be something that everyone can use and address all the different hardware configurations and stuff like that. But that means they're gonna have to really dedicate time and effort to maintaining that distro.
I can see it.
Yeah, I think sooner rather than the hardware part of it. But also that is a whole separate big ask. And I mean, there's like SteamOS. People like been able to put SteamOS on other hardware that doesn't have official support and have it run. I've done it myself. I've loaded it on other handhelds and stuff like that. But the other distro maintainers out there like Bazite, Nobara, CachyOS even have eaten their lunch in a lot of ways and provided support quicker. So like
I can see it though.
I could see it, but also I don't think they need to necessarily. I think they just need, like, I could see a future where they're like, you know what, maybe SteamOS isn't something we want to maintain, but maybe we work with somebody else to integrate it. Yeah. So, maybe that's a little more realistic, but either way.
I could also see it being more like Chrome OS, now Chrome OS Flex, used to be Cloud Ready. So Chrome OS Flex basically has a set list of devices that it is verified working, right? You can still download it and install it on other things, but your audio just might not work. The webcam might not be supported. The trackpad might be a little weird. So for a specific set of devices, they say it'll work. And I could see also a universe where they say, okay, you know what? We will maintain this for hardware that's close enough to what we're doing with the Steam machine. Everything else, it's open source kind of stuff. Y'all will have to figure it out for yourself. And that way they kind of get the best of both worlds, which is, the people who are super, super nerdy about that kind of thing, they'll probably take over and, provide things for the community to make things work. People who are willing to go to that technical level, but also still be able to push this as a concept for people who are more of a normie, so to speak, who would be already kind of scared to do a download and install of Windows, that they have an equivalent-ish experience doing a download and install of SteamOS for hardware that matches the, supported hardware list.
Well, and
Mike, did you want to say something? You had like a face.
No, I'm good. I think it was earlier this year that we saw Valve was hiring specifically for people who are experts at integrating NVIDIA graphics into things. So somewhere at Valve, they're working on this. It's an argument for how much and how fast they're going on it, but they're thinking about it. And just a few days ago, they were talking about expanding SteamOS support to more Intel-based handhelds. So they're getting out of the exclusive AMD hardware space. How fast, how hard they're pushing, we don't know, but somebody's working on it.
NVIDIA, Intel, and also ARM. Right? Because the headset still needs to be released and there's plenty of stuff over there. But let's not forget, before we wrap this up, that the Steam Machine 1.0, the whole reason why that started is because Gabe was so pissed off at Microsoft for the whatever.
Somebody in chat said something to me like, man, something bad must have happened.
Oh, it did. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I think it was Windows 8, right?
Yeah. So that there's like just carrying so much of this like.
Yeah, it's called Windows 8, and that's what kicked off this whole Steam Machine thing. And it's taken a while. It's matured. It's gone through a lot of iterations, but now more than ever, it is the
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah.
I actually have hardware that will match some of these performance specs. So hopefully it's compatible. It's on the list of compatible. I haven't looked that up. Compatible hardware. I would love to actually do my own version of this. Like I have mini ITX boards. I could roll together a small form factor PC.
Hey.
I won't be able to do the fun face plates though. That's the only sad part. But
Get a 3D printer. You know, you could do it yourself.
oh yeah.
I'm
add that
excited
to
for
the
you to
things I
try out
have.
Linux. You know, so yeah.
Now, hang on. Wouldn't it be fairly easy for somebody to make a mini ITX case that is the size of the Steam machine? You'd need to work around with some weird stuff in there, but you could do it, especially if you pushed the length.
It depends.
Yeah.
So I think one of the videos mentioned that the motherboard size for the Steam machine, the actual Steam machine, is more Pico ITX or Pico
Yeah,
ITX
it's-
size. It's not the standard mini ITX size. So it would have to be a bigger enclosure. I wouldn't mind that though. You're not wrong. Like if somebody made like a more cube-like thing that I could put faceplates on and off of, but actually install a mini ITX system in there. Like
I think
I'm on
somebody would
board.
do it.
I'm
I
on
think somebody
board.
would do it. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I had really conflicted feelings walking into this because on one hand, the hardware of the Steam machine itself is just like, yeah, okay. You know,
But we knew though the
yeah,
consoles typically don't have bleeding edge hardware anyway.
well, but not even that. I just mean the pricing for this price. So there's that, but I'm still so excited on the Linux train to be like,
software side?
yeah, to be like, hey, this is, you know, regardless of the hardware being dead on arrival, like SteamOS is still the thing that can push forward and be the real goal here. So like, yeah, it's both sides, but anyway, we should move on.
I do
Or you
think
got-
though that the cost, like trying to DIY that particular size and cooling configuration, the price is not unreasonable.
Not
It's just
unreasonable. No,
just that the industry pricing just sucks right now.
for everything.
Not
yeah.
unreasonable, just unfortunate.
There we go. That's a
Extremely
good way to say it.
unfortunate.
Speaking of unfortunate, unfortunately, we have to pause for another ad break, and we'll be right back. Hey, and we're back. Thank you for following on. Staying with us on that ad break. We have a couple questions. If you want to get anything in right now in the live show, we're running out of time. I didn't realize we are going to talk this long about it.
We talked a long time about your
did.
handheld,
Yeah.
sir.
You know, it's exciting. Get them in at the Full Nerd Network live right now. But if you're watching or listening to this later, that's okay. You can go to the link down in the description to the Full Nerd Network Discord. There's a channel in there called Full Nerd TFN dash questions. You can get a question in there, and hopefully will be read on a upcoming show. Here we go. The first one coming in from a friend of the show, ScribeFix. Any Prime Day deals worth snapping up for PC gamers / tech enthusiasts? Who wants to go first?
Mike?
I'll go first. Yeah,
Please.
I think we predicted this, and it's held true that like there's nothing for real like PC hardware out there. You might be able to find an okay gaming laptop in the context of the current nightmare. Right now is the time to upgrade your accessories. So we found some really good OLED monitor deals and general monitor deals, and that was my assignment. So that's what I can talk about. Just this morning, there was an Acer OLED that went down to $315, which I think is the best price I've ever seen for a new OLED monitor from a name brand.
What size?
That is 27 inches, 1440p. So very reasonable.
Yeah,
a
great.
fantastic upgrade. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So OLED deals, at least, which, you know, can be exciting. Everyone should upgrade to, you know, a new monitor every once in a while. How do you feel about the burn-in stuff? Are you somebody who's worried about that?
Okay. The burn-in fear is real. I'm looking at an OLED right in front of me that has burn-in. Because I bought it used like a year and a half ago, aware that could be an issue. So yeah, I would say I can see it specifically because I have a window here and a window here in ultra wide setup just for my work. So if you work a lot on the screen that you are also gaming on, I'd say it's still a legitimate concern.
So you don't see it during work. You see it after work when you game.
When I'm gaming or when I'm watching a video, I can see it. And it's not so horrible that I can't ignore it. But if you are the kind of person who you think a visible like line on your monitor would just bug the hell out of you, yeah, maybe just wait on it, or just make sure that you don't work and game on the same display.
Yeah, you just have two OLED monitors, one for work, one for gaming.
Well, this is partially a function of what you do for work specifically, right? Because you have two windows side by side just there for hours while you're working, while you're writing, editing, I'm presuming.
But I can also see the taskbar. So
okay.
Yeah. So and like I said, it's not so horrible that I can't live with it, especially for the deal that I got on this a year and a half ago. But yeah, if you still think you're going to be bothered on it, maybe wait another year or two.
And the way that I think about it too is the same thing with like folding screens. Like a lot of people will look at my phone and be like, "Oh my goodness, that crease! It would just drive me nuts." But for me, it doesn't. Like I don't notice it. So
yeah,
like,
and I also
think
have a folding phone, and I can ignore the crease.
Yeah, so,
even when I'm watching video.
So like it really depends on what
you're using
bugs
it for
you,
and how you use it. And
but also,
what you pay attention to.
like it is hard when you're like, oh, you don't know if that's going to bug you until you buy it. So, but yeah. Okay. Well, what other kind of deals did we got over on PCWorld.com?
Kreider actually knows more about it this time than me, because this time I don't know how this happened, but I was not assigned any deals coverage.
Wait,
so
I thought you were the deals ninja.
I've been shopping for myself, sir.
Okay, the deals ninja for yourself. Then
but
what kind of deals?
I'm
you finding ninja?
I'm not buying tech though. I'm
buying not
like
for tech.
little
Socks.
things. Well, that's
is
Black Friday.
there any good? Oh,
that's
no,
Black Friday.
Okay, well, I need more of your fancy socks.
Fancy socks are great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that people
they're just expensive.
been introduced to them.
So.
They are very expensive, but they're nice.
And I'm trying to only stock up.
I know when they're a sale. Yeah, no, I've been looking more for like house items. Basically, what I do, and this is a tip I give people in general, is that year round, just add things to your wish list, or specifically a Prime Day list, so that you know to go back to it. Because what Amazon will do is that when you look at the list, it'll show you what the prices are, and so you can kind of scan through and see if anything has been discounted. And to a point that, or to address a point that our intern Glenn made before the show, a lot of times those prices where they say it's 40% off is not actually accurate to what the true discount is off the street price. And I think everyone listening already knows this.
But how would you know?
It's worth mentioning just because you can check this by looking at historical pricing data through, like, say, PC Part Picker, if you are looking at hardware, or if you install like the Keepa extension on your browser. I think Camel is another one that people use. I've switched over to Keepa. I kind of prefer its interface and layout a little bit better. And you can look at historical trends over, the last 3 months, the last year, all time, and you can kind of see like how the price has actually gone up and down, roughly. It doesn't always include things like coupon prices and like the best absolute deals. But if you do that, or you check even like Slick Deals and do a search to see like historically what the deal prices have been, you'll get a better idea of whether or not it's truly on sale or a discount. I do track a lot of deals in general. So for me, what I can do is I can often just scan my list, and I already have an idea if it's actually truly a decent discount or not.
Okay.
So that's just my general tip for everybody when it comes to Prime Day shopping. Newegg also is having sales right now. A lot of retailers will do competing pricing during this time of year. It's just not as heavy as Black Friday. So you can find good deals, but my general advice these days is not to shop because you're looking for something to buy. You are shopping because you are already going to buy it, and you've just been waiting to get a deal on it.
I'd say that's a good way. Yeah, like there's an article up on PCWorld.com right now, is that also that a lot of scammers are hoping that you get that FOMO or move quickly on something. So the more you already kind of know what you're looking for, and you're
Yes.
just trying the best deals.
You also
the
have
better.
an idea of what's realistic. That's
Yeah.
another thing. So I do mostly what I wrote about today for Prime Day was like scam related stuff because my area of coverage for PC World is security and privacy. And one thing is that it's much easier to spot a scam if you already have some familiarity with the product and that general pricing for that product. So because I track things so much, I generally know like, oh, they're offering 70% off. That can't be real. There's just no way. That thing either fell off the back of a truck and I don't want to get involved with stolen goods, or it is just a straight up phishing scam. And with AI, it is very easy for scammers now to spin up something and then also take it down really quickly. So it's very hard to trace.
Okay.
Go directly to the sites you want to shop on. That's my biggest tip.
Yeah, it sounds like with the wish list that you're talking about, you basically just treat Amazon like Steam. Like I've got a wish list full of games, and I just wait for them to be sufficiently discounted for me to pull the trigger.
Yeah, Keepa is basically like, is there any deal?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of peruse PC World and like I'm not seeing any deals that are on things that I've been looking for, but yeah, like I mean I think the biggest question I had was like, hey, is there any deals on SSDs and RAM? I know, yeah,
Not really.
no, so no,
Not really.
yeah, of course. So yeah, let's get to another question in here. Pyrocumulus asks, what is it about Bluetooth that makes the latency so much worse than 2.4 gigahertz wireless? Is it inherent to the Bluetooth protocol, or could it potentially be remedied in a future version or implementation? Yada yada. I bring this up specifically because, Mike, I know you don't do a ton of reviews on the website anymore, but I always look to you as the keyboard expert among us, right? I think that's fair to say.
So the reason that you've got more latency on Bluetooth is because Bluetooth is super, super wide open. It was designed with so many different things in mind and this was, more than 20 years ago that Bluetooth debuted, and they wanted to be everything to everybody. And in many ways,
Like
it still
USB.
is. Yeah. You can get a connection over Bluetooth that is very, very low latency. Like they do it with the controllers for both the Switch and the PS5 are running off a very, very concentrated version of Bluetooth. But you're always going to have a faster, more effective solution in any kind of technology if it is purpose built for that specific device. That's just how it works. Like a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection and a Bluetooth connection are extremely similar in terms of the electronics and the radio waves. It's just a matter of which one is dedicated to a specific purpose.
So what is your general recommendation for Bluetooth for keyboards? Like, do you try to keep people away from using Bluetooth on keyboards, or do you think it doesn't really matter on keyboards as much?
Bluetooth for keyboards is fine for everything except gaming. Like the only people who care about that level of latency, we're talking about a difference between 1 millisecond and 10 milliseconds. So the only thing where that matters is gaming. If you've got a gaming keyboard and you want it to be wireless, get one that has a dongle option. Almost all of those will also have Bluetooth at this point. So you can connect it to your phone or your other laptop if you want to. But fortunately, we're also at a point where the wireless keyboards are also very affordable. Like you can buy a $300 one if you want to. I don't think it's going to be $200 better than a $100 keyboard, even for wireless ones.
I mean, at that point, if you really care that much about the gaming aspect of it, do you recommend people just skip wireless altogether and go wired?
No, I love wireless. I use wireless for myself for everything because I just love the capability of tossing it over here if I'm eating soup.
Eating soup, all that soup that you're eating.
You know what though? There's sometimes where accidents happen with wired headphones, and I can attest to having committed atrocities to my keyboard by accident because I was not careful with what I was moving around with the wires while having a bowl of soup on the desk.
Well, I would, if you are the kind of gamer who is literally talking about 1 millisecond increments of latency, then yeah, go wired. But I'd say like the people who can actually perform at that level and the people who think they can perform at that level might be very different groups. Like I know I do not have that kind of reaction. Even if I did, if you're talking about online gaming, is it really that big of a difference?
I mean, honestly, not to call anybody out here, but I think honestly at our age, come on.
Like our age?
Our reflexes.
Excuse me, Glenn is here, and he's a strapping young gentleman.
His reflexes are going to be way faster than ours. I'm just saying, it is documented.
One of my favorite memories, I went to CES when I was working at How To Geek, and they had, I think it was HyperX, had a trailer in the basement where they set up like an e-gaming platform. And you could go up there and play Mario Kart in front of a crowd and a projector. It was lots of fun. But I went down there the second day and they brought in like a local esports, several esports players, and they set up Super Smash Brothers. I was like, all right, I've been playing Super Smash Brothers for 20 years. I want you to go all out on me. And the poor guy was like maybe 18 years old. I was like, do you really want me to do that? Are you sure, man? It's like, yes, please. I want to see what the delta here is. I want you to completely just go hard.
Destroy me.
And do it. Yeah.
And
picked Pichu, which is the fighter that can hurt itself just by attacking other people. And I think I hit him maybe like 3 times.
Wow.
In a 3-stock fight. It was absolutely incredible and an amazing experience. I had so much fun getting my butt kicked. But
Nice.
Yeah.
It's fun to see people who are good at what they're doing do it. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
right.
I mean, like I said, I'd probably been playing this game for longer than this person had been alive, and he still absolutely demolished me. It was wonderful.
That's pretty funny.
So I actually want to interject real quick before we move off this question. The other thing I would say that a wireless, like a 2.4 gigahertz connection is better for is audio. If you actually are, hold on, let me finish. If you are actually watching something where the timing of the movement in the video is actually very necessary for the audio to line up with it. And I speak from experience because one of my hobbies is partner dancing. And so sometimes when I'm reviewing video, I actually have to switch to a 2.4 gigahertz wireless headphone or even just straight wired headphones because the Bluetooth delay is not great, because then you can't tell, am I actually off time or is this because of the equipment I'm using? So I have to actually, reduce the variables in it. And even then, it's actually really wild because, and I noticed this when I used to test Bluetooth earbuds, the amount of latency will vary depending on the manufacturer as well. Depending on how they implement it, the protocol, the version that they're using and all of that. So sometimes with the cheaper earbuds, I definitely notice a very notable delay. And some of the better ones, it's more minimal. It's getting closer to that 2.4 gigahertz experience, but it's still not quite there. So I would just say if you're watching anything that's like motion, like video with motion, and that the audio needs to line up to it, then also the Bluetooth versus wireless debate is also really applicable.
Yeah.
When the Switch first came out, it actually did not allow you to connect Bluetooth headphones to it.
Oh,
and Nintendo
because of that.
specifically cited that latency. We can't get it close enough.
Yeah.
There were a lot of third-party like dongles you could buy to add Bluetooth to your Switch. And then like 3 or 4 years later, they sent out the update and said, hey, this might suck, but we heard you want it. Here you go.
Yeah. That's for like connecting to my phone and just listening to podcasts, whatever. But yeah, like connecting to a handheld or something. That's why I don't have any of them on me, but I have a couple of headphones that have an included dongle with it in the case. So then, it's USB-C and you can plug it in. Like that's usually what I do for my handheld testing, is that instead of pairing it to every individual handheld and having a who knows what experience. Nice. Yeah, the little dongle actually does help. So you get both. I
actually kind of need Bluetooth for a lot of things because it's a lot easier to do that than to lose the dongle, which is it's the era of realizing you had lost the dongle and not being able to buy a replacement or repair it with a replacement. I don't miss those days at all.
That's why the new ones have both, so that you can even if you do lose it, you've got fallback. But anyway, we've gone long. We like talking about stuff, so we need to wrap it up and get out of here because I'm hungry. Check back next week for your fix of PC talk here on The Full Nerd. To subscribe to us, go over to The Full Nerd Network on YouTube. We go live hopefully every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, maybe a little late sometimes. I missed the bus this morning, so that was on me. But if you don't want to catch us live, that's fine. We are on anywhere you can find a podcast except for, well, no, we are on Audible. It's just Expedition Handheld. It's not on Audible.
Thanks to Will, we're on Deezer.
Yeah, we are on Deezer, I guess. And then
Yes.
Yeah. Where am I? I forgot. If you want to ask us a question, hit us up on the Discord link. Good questions over there. If you want to listen to the audio version, I already said that we're on all the RSS feeds. Sorry, I'm going down the checklist here. If you want to read us, we have a full new newsletter written by one Alex Waro now. Mm-hmm. His first one launched last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
last Friday.
Yeah, so I like the way you wrote. Nothing against Alex, but I'm so used to waking up in the morning and reading something that you wrote and being like, oh, we're gonna have to talk about this on the show.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
It's only his first week. He's got to kind of feel out, take over the territory,
but
establish how
that's
he
where
wants
that's where I'm hoping Alex can get to. Is that I'll read his take and be like, oh, dang it! All right, we need to argue about this on the show, and it's just an Ouroboros feeding into itself. Anyway, yeah, you can get to that at PCWorld.com/newsletters/sign up. And if you miss Elena's writing, you can also subscribe to Safe Mode, which just launched yesterday.
No, that was last week was the first edition. This week was supposed to be the second, but then something went a little weird with the scheduler, so I think it went live today.
Okay.
So today. I'm on week 2. It's a pretty, simple security, privacy newsletter.
That's your lane. That
is my lane.
Other than
PCWorld.
deals, that's
for
security is also.
For a lot of people listening, it's probably going to be a lot of things you already know, but it's probably just stuff that will still help you keep a track of the latest news if you're not in cybersecurity as your profession. Also, maybe something that you can forward to friends and family, so you don't have to do all the work of explaining it to them. So hopefully, it's just a useful, community resource.
Definitely, yeah, I love it. And Mike Kreider, you write over on the website. You also do short form content for us. More to come for that. Do you have a newsletter yourself?
I will be on the performance side of the newsletter, enthusiast stuff. So anything that has to do with PC gaming, anything that you might see on the Battle Stations subreddit, that's going to be my area of focus. And I think we've settled on a name, going to call it Boost Mode for the newsletter that's coming. Hopefully sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Don't hold me to that, but we're working on it.
All right, I like it. And you can also sign up over at PCWorld.com/newsletters/sign up. We'll have a whole host of newsletters. I don't have a newsletter.
You don't, but you do have a flea market thing that you're going to be doing next month.
Be showing up for a flea market. What did you say the date was? July 11th.
Second weekend of July, Saturday. And
just Google the Bay Area Electronics Flea Market. Mm-hmm. They've got directions to their to the place on their website. Gonna show up, gonna lay out some tables and put a bunch of hardware on there. Some of it from
mostly PC cases, I think.
Yeah, some of it from our office, some of it from Gordon's house, some of it from our own homes. And sell it for a good cause, for charity in Gordon's name.
All proceeds will go to a charity in Gordon's name.
Yeah, and also just stop by, even if you don't buy anything, just come hang out, share your favorite Gordon memory, and all the fun stuff. And we might actually do this a couple months in a row, because I have a feeling we've got a lot of hardware to get through.
We have a lot packed into this studio.
So, also check out we've got 3 more episodes of Dual Boot Diaries, me and Will. We're wrapping it up here. So exciting conclusion over there. And then I've already talked about it, but Expedition Handheld, me and Russ from Retro Game Core have a handheld podcast, which continues to be really fun. And the kittens show up on that because I record it at home sometimes. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I also want to thank Mike Kreider for joining us on the line. I appreciate it.
Happy to have it. Lots of stuff to talk about today. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, good times, and always a good time hanging out with Elena. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like, so chat, you've supported me before. I would like to get some community support for a kitten live stream from Adam.
Yeah, maybe I'll just I mean, I'm just I'll just set up a bunch of PC hardware or empty cases that they can just like rummage around through, like a little maze, make like a maze or something, right?
Photo shoot. Now you have to do that too.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, yes. Anyway, I also want to thank the one intern, PC World intern Glenn Ung, for actually doing work. We're just sitting here blabbing on microphones, but he's in the background actually doing real work. So I appreciate.
I got to see him this whole time.
The amount of any empty boxes.
No, in the mic, please.
You would not believe the amount of empty CPU boxes in here.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
look, we want to know what we have. We just don't know where it is.
Yeah. So he's going through and cataloging everything, which will help us in our efforts for selling at the flea market. So anyway, thanks everybody. We'll catch you next week. I forgot I'm the one who has to hit the off button.
You do.
So let me go back here
Nope.
and go back here, and we'll see you later. Bye.